And we're live.
Gamers, good evening. Welcome to PM in the PM. That's right, back on another Thursday night. It is June the 23rd already, and it's been a slow news week here this week, but that doesn't ever stop Mav and I from wanting to talk, especially wanting to talk with all of you amazing people out there. So thank you all for joining us. That's right, Pong and Mav in the PM. Look, we're going to get down to business, but we got some things to talk about. And I got to get to my co-host, the man who runs the channel, the man who owns the kingdom. He's got the keys in his back pocket, and he tosses them to me to run this great, freaking fantastic show on Thursday night. So, Mav, fun speculation. Brother, what is going on with you this week? I feel like I have not spoken to you because you ignored my request to be invited to the party the other night after you invited me because you guys are too busy playing Fall Guys. So you didn't see my message. Yeah, I sent you a message saying, invite me again. Like 15 minutes after you invited me. Fucker. Jesus. So I got to air some dirty laundry here with you live while everybody else is listening. So yeah, Mav just ignored me the other night. So I haven't talked to this man all week. It's been crazy. So what's going on with you, brother? How you been?
Not bad, man. I think it was like more than 15 minutes. I think it was like an hour and a half. I think at that point we were going to bed.
Sir. No, sir.
No.
I said to you, I'm going to bed because you never responded to my invite. So I was just letting you know if you saw that message, I was going to bed.
Oh.
So that was after the fact. But if you go back and look at the message times, you will see that it was 20 minutes after you invited.
I'm sorry, man. I feel really bad. It's gonna affect the rest of my day.
Oh, well, good thing the day is almost gone. So just get on with your intro.
Yeah, dude. We've been hanging out, getting a lot of stuff done. Big task, taken care of. Work, as always, and I've been playing games, a little assortment of this and that lately. Got back into Diablo 3. Made it further than I ever have because it's one of those games I always like leave and come back to, and I always start new characters. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So this time I'm like persistent. I'm gonna finish a full run through of this game. I'm in middle of like Act 3 now, right?
Nice.
So it's getting really good. So I've been playing that. I dove into Fall Guys. I've been having some random stupid fun. Kate's really into that. She's even gotten the battle pass already, of course. And then also I had some time to check out some of Shadowrun Returns, the first of the trilogy. Not very much, but what I had dove into, man, I was like, this is fucking great on Xbox, man. I was like really digging it. Throwback vibes to old school style games. I was just loving it. TMNT, it's just like a lot of different stuff, dude. There's so many different things to play. It's hard to not just spend all my time on one thing, like, because I want to try getting into Destiny again. I want to commit a lot of time to Diablo and really get into the end game stuff. You know what I mean? I want to do all these different things, but there's just too many different things that I want to do. So I don't know what to do about it, Pong. How do you handle playing all these games? I don't know. What about you? What have you been up to?
Brazen. Actually, I got a little story for the chat. Mav already knows this story, what's been going on this week, but we'll start with a non-gaming related story. So this week has been crazy. It's actually been pretty surreal. Our neighborhood has been on partial lockdown up until all the way until last night, actually this morning. And we had another neighborhood close by completely evacuated. We had businesses closed down because we had a guy holed up in his house, literally 2 blocks away from our house with guns, popping off rounds at the cops, straight out the movies. And we could sit out on our deck and listen to the rounds go off. That's how close he was. We could hear the cops trying to coax him out of the house. And that started, we did not know, but it started Tuesday morning at 12:30 midnight, 12:30 a.m. On Tuesday. Was storming out that night. And I had seen cops roll in the neighborhood, but I thought maybe it had been a lightning strike because we had a ton of lightning strikes that night. So I thought maybe it was a lightning strike or something like that. But little did we know this guy was already barricading himself in the house. And then I come home Tuesday night and they've got we're in a smaller town. It's not like, it's not like small town USA, but it's a smaller town. It's by no means a big town. So we got one main road that goes through the whole town. And they had it all closed off just about a half mile before my turnoff into our neighborhood. And then they had it closed off all the way down past our neighborhood. I had to get the back roads to get into the house, and there was cops on the back roads too. So I came home like, what is going on? No news coverage. Nobody was saying anything. Finally, some things started trickling out on Twitter. So people got word. Some people were listening to police scanners, got word what was going on. Well, this guy, again, until last night, that's the way the neighborhood has been. We've had cops rolling through. We've had neighbors putting up drones, cops coming by yelling at neighbors to take down their drones. We've been out on the deck. Everybody's been outside at night, hanging out at the fences, barbecuing, listening to this guy pop off shots at the cops. It's like, it's been crazy, man. It's been a crazy, crazy week. But outside of that, let's see, as far as gaming goes, still been rocking out on Inquisitor, 100%. Absolutely loving that. Again, that's the Warhammer game that a lot of people missed, and I'm back into it. I had played a ton on PlayStation, but now I'm back into it again. Can't wait to get news as to when they're going to give us the current gen version. But I'm like level 35 now, 34, something like that. It's been just a blast getting back into that again. Doing the NBA 2K22 stuff, got into Shadowrun for about 2 hours the other night. Like you said, Mav, this is old school CRPG style. Mm-hmm. This brings me back. No voice acting, so it's all narrative. It's all written, so you got to read. But this is, if you go nobody knows if this trilogy even was out. If you're an old school Shadowrun fan, this trilogy came out on PC a while back over the years. This is done by Jordan Weissman, one of the original writers for Shadowrun back in the day. And now his new studio, Harebrained Games, which is under Paradox. So he created this trilogy. Go look at the reviews. All three. One of them is actually considered an expansion, but they made it a standalone. Yeah. But if you go back and read the reviews from PC, we're talking about high 80s, low 90s for each one of these games. These games are so well done. Like you said, Matt, this brings me back to the Genesis days. This brings me all the way back to playing the tabletop dice version with my buddies. We mainly played D&D, but every once in a while we'd hop over and play some Shadowrun. That's how I knew about Shadowrun back in the day. When it came out on Genesis, I played the shit out of that game on the Genesis. My favorite version. I played a little bit on Super Nintendo, did not like their version as much as I like the Genesis version, but this goes straight back to that. All the classes are there. You can mix and you can mix and match the classes as you want to. You can customize it, or they've got pre-built characters for you as well that you can use. Everything is there, and the story so far, even without any acting, Matt, just the writing in this game is phenomenal. Brings me right back, man. And so I've been enjoying the hell out of Shadowrun. I was actually going to hop back in last night, but I got home late. So I didn't want to start because I had to go to bed early so I could get up today. So I knew there's no way I could turn off Shadowrun if I was going to get back into it. So what I did is, for anybody who doesn't know, ID at Xbox has a ton of demos out right now from indie developers. So what I did last night is I downloaded a bunch of different indie games and tried them out last night just to try to see what I was liking, if there was anything in there. Look, there is something for everybody in there. These are straight up indie titles. Some of them are really well done. Some I didn't care for, but I downloaded probably like 6, 7, maybe 8 last night and tried them out. Go check them out. Some of the standouts for me, well, Severed Steel is not my type of game, but it's going to be for somebody. This reminds me of Mirror's Edge and, oh God, what's the one that just came out, Mav, last year that got huge reviews? The game where you're like doing wall running and stuff. You got the sword, you got the weapons, you got to learn the
Ghost Runner. Is it Ghost Runner?
Is it Ghost Runner?
Ghost something.
Ghost something. Yeah, whatever that game is. Yeah.
I don't know. Ghost Runner. I think it's Ghost Runner.
Is it Ghost Runner? Okay. Anyways, that's what this game is like. So somebody's going to love this. It is so stylish, off the charts. It is freaking amazing. Again, not my type of game. Ghost Runner. Thank you. Not my type of game at all. I get frustrated with those games, but I did play a little bit of the beginning portion of it. Awesome game. So go check out Severed Steel if you're into those types of games. Stuffed. This game's stuffed. Look, yeah, you're freaking little. You're a teddy bear protecting little girl's room from these evil toys that come through these portals at night, like garden gnomes and stuff. And then they got these alien like shadow people that show up. Like sometimes they're tall, sometimes they're little. First person shooter. It's got all the tropes in there that you want. It's freaking classic. It needs some polish. It's not the best controlling first person shooter I've ever played, but I was having a great time with it. It was fun as hell. Right. You just go, it's just wave after wave of these different toys coming through these portals. So that was fun as hell. And then I tried this other game called Batora. I just found it.
Batora. Yeah, that stood out to me at the at one of the showcases. I can't remember. Guerrilla Collective, I think. Maybe?
Probably Guerrilla Collective. Batora Lost Haven. Listen, action RPG. Very interesting mechanics, not anything new per se, but you have two different versions of yourself. You have a light version, you have a dark version, sun version and a moon version is what it is in the game. And you face enemies that are polarized to one of those. And if you match the polarization, you can switch on the fly anytime and it gives you different abilities. And anytime you match whatever enemy you're currently battling, if you match that polarity, you do more damage than you do if you're the opposite polarity. And then there's some enemies that come along that are mixed polarity and they kind of have like a spinning like light disc underneath them that changes the color. Mm-hmm. So you know where you got to hit them. So if you like, it's crazy good. The acting is awesome. Let me tell you, the graphics, brother, so clean, pop off the screen. We're talking about bright colors, everything, phenomenal animations. Tougher than it looks when you first jump into it. I actually took me a little bit to get used to it because you could you use the right stick to attack. So swing your sword and stuff like that. Right. You can also push buttons to attack as well, and then you got specials and all that kind of stuff. But Batora Lost Haven, keep your eye out for that one. Interesting story, but again, the graphics and just some of the mechanics that are in that game are really, really awesome. And there's some puzzles too. I actually got to the point last night where I was getting ready for bed. I was like, all right, I'll just finish this up here. I got to this puzzle and I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure it out. And I was probably being dumb because I was tired, but I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, well, forget it. I'm not gonna, I gotta go to bed. But awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Puzzles, mechanics, action RPG, really, really amazing stuff there. So keep your eye out for Batora Lost Haven. Trying to think what else. Sail. Oh God, what is it called? Let me see if it's in here. Sail. The hell is it? Sail Aloft? I think it is. I think it's called Sail Aloft. If somebody in chat,
Aloft.
Yeah, it's Sail Aloft. Indie little game. Let me see. I got it on my Twitter. Sail Aloft game. Is it Sail Aloft or Sail? Hold on. Yeah.
There's a game called Allah.
No. It's somewhere. It's Sail something. I can't remember. It's Sail something. But anyways, go check this game out if you want. If you're into sailing, if you're into pirating, all that kind of stuff, go check this game out. Cool little indie title. Some of the chill game. You can just cruise around in your boat, but you got to pick up other people to join your crew. You can find blueprints. You got to fight against these pirates. So you can upgrade your boats. They got all these different upgrades. They got upgraded cannons and weapons that you can add to your boat. You can get your bigger crew. You can go treasure hunting. They got a nice big map, but just sailing the water. Again, it's not Sea of Thieves. This is an indie title, so you don't get like Sea of Thieves waves, but the style of graphics, a more simplistic kind of style. Is it
with like
the waves
first person or like top down?
No,
or
it's just third person, but you get to see all your little guys, and they're these little characters, right? They're super cool, and they don't have like any voice. It's like it's awesome. But no, just a chill game. The music in it is amazing. You do have to you can adjust your sails on the fly to the wind so you can pick up more speed. There's some really deep parts of this game. But awesome game. Go check it out. Sail. I'll probably find it by the end of the show. But yeah, go check that out. But anyways, long story short is it's been an interesting week now. And so that's where I kind of went with it. But go check out Shadowrun. It's on Game Pass. If you're looking for a classic turn-based CRPG, narrative heavy, the writing is off the charts good. So far from what I've played, and again, just go read the reviews. Everybody loves, most people love this trilogy. So I'm definitely gonna be diving back into that again. So that's been my week, Mav. Been crazy. I hope everybody out sail forth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tony Grasso, brother, coming through.
There you go.
Sail forth. Go check that out. Thank you so much. Naraka Blade Point came out too. That finally released. Again, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, I'm going to be hopping back into it. I tried it through the Insider program. Unfortunately, the Insider program stuff does not carry over, so I got to start over again. But Naraka Blade Point, if you're looking for a battle royale, melee heavy, that is a game. I don't like battle royales, and I had a great time with this game in the Insider program, and I'm going to be jumping back into it. It's free to play. Obviously, it's monetized. You want the costumes, but it's gorgeous. As far as the character models go, gorgeous. I think it's Chinese developers, just A1 plus on the character design. So go check out Naraka Blade Point. But speaking of Tony Grasso, see who else is in the chat. There's Steel coming through with his Naraka. He likes Naraka too.
Yeah,
Naraka.
I've seen a lot of good things about that. I need to install it. I want to try all those demos too, man. Like there's a lot of them
there's a lot of them in there, man. Yeah.
Who else we got? Asiki, Big Mad Mo, UK Lad.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep continuing talking about the demos. But sorry.
No, it's okay. No, all right. Nix, Talos Ray, what's up? This is usually your bit here, Pong.
I know that's what I was doing, but then you cut in, so
I know I'm trying to steal it from you. General Spartan 27, what's going on? Geezer Prime hanging out while he's at work. Crispy Bomb, what's up? What's up, Alvin? Alvin, how's it going, man? Lore Master Jasper, as well as Killinitis. My beautiful wife, Caitlin, lovely wife. Hey, baby.
Hey, Caitlin.
Let's see who else we got. Did I miss anybody? Black Card, what's up, dude?
Black Card Retro Nerd is in here as well. He dropped on in. And if you're going to take over this spot, you got to say it right, though, man. You really do. Alvin! All right. Okay. There we go.
Toto Dope,
then we got Toto Dope. What's going on? Thanks for dropping it in here. So thank you all for being here tonight. This has been a slow news week now. It's been a pretty dang slow news week here.
A great gaming week, though.
Yes, a great week of gaming. Games are dropping again, which is awesome to have happen, because we went through a couple of weeks there where there wasn't a whole lot new dropping in.
Yep.
So it is great to get back to that. But otherwise, where do you want to start? Should we start with the headliner and get in on Bobby here, or what? What about Bob?
Yeah. What about Bob? What
about Bob? All right. What about Bob? It is. So everybody's favorite CEO in the entire world. That's right, Mr. Bobby Kotick. I know you all knew it right off when I said favorite CEO. Is back in the news this week, and it's caused some, of course, community drama, because a lot of
misinformation being
a lot of misinformation. Yeah, a lot of garbage being thrown out there by the usual suspects. You know how this rolls. Any piece of information right now gets turned into some 4-alarm fire that we've got to burn down Xbox with. And listen, okay, so here's the deal. For anybody who's not following on Twitter, who does not get their news outside of shows, it was announced this week that Activision Blizzard shareholders voted to keep Bobby Kotick on the board of directors for another year. So his contract was re-upped. This is going to come from Game Informer. I'll read this here real quick. Despite being heavily criticized for his role in the Activision Blizzard's ongoing employee sexual abuse scandal, CEO Bobby Kotick will remain on the company's board of directors for another year. The publisher held its annual meeting of stockholders who voted on five proposals, such as its list of 10 directors, including Kotick, to serve 1-year terms. The document detailing the results shows that an overwhelming 533,703,580 investors voted in Kotick's favor against 62,597,199 who voted against him. 2,162,178 shareholders abstained from voting. The result means that Kotick will retain his spot until Activision's 2023 stockholder meeting next June. The development comes after Kotick spent the last year under fire for reportedly hiding details of the company's abuse problems from shareholders, which caused some employees and investors to call for his resignation. Kotick has responded by reducing his salary until transformational gender goals were met. Activision has since hired a new chief diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. Although Kotick remains on Activision's board, his future as CEO, once Microsoft's acquisition of the company is complete, remains unknown. The deal isn't expected to go through until sometime next summer, possibly around the next time of the stockholder meeting. This came on top of news that earlier this week as well, that Activision Blizzard had conducted their own internal investigation into the allegations of harassment and found nobody was continuing the harassment. Nobody was contributing to the harassment from the top, and basically gave themselves an A+. Okay, but that's, again, whatever. We know how this stuff rolls. But here's the deal, everybody. Anybody who listens to our show, other shows on this channel, elsewhere, if you're listening to reputable shows, you would hopefully have the picture that this is kind of a standard development here, that there was no expectation that Bobby Kotick was going to lose his spot during this vote. He's made this board and those shareholders ultra wealthy. Okay. Again, awful human being, probably one of the worst CEOs in the history of video games for sure, maybe of business from a personal standpoint, from a personal standpoint. But the dude is a businessman. This is a business. You can go check out his story. You can read Wikipedia. There's plenty of articles out there. Single-handedly brought Activision back from the dead. So from a business standpoint, the guy's a chess player. And when you're making money off of somebody like that, it takes a lot to get rid of him. And that's why, if you remember, when the acquisition was first announced by Microsoft and Xbox, the term golden parachute started coming up. Mm-hmm. Now, we knew from the beginning, Matt, that Microsoft came out and said, hey, this deal probably done by end of fiscal year 2023, right? Yeah, we're 2023 fiscal year. So June of next year. Yeah. Right? They said that from the beginning. And then people started writing articles. Is Bobby Kotick going to go get a golden parachute? Is he still going to be CEO? Why those articles were being written is because everybody knew that this guy wasn't going anywhere. Okay, this was a formality. He was going to remain as CEO no matter what. And so they were already writing articles about the golden parachute coming when Microsoft Activision closed the deal next June. Which would have happened regardless of who they got acquired by or anything. Correct. Right. Correct. So again, at the end of the day, this should be a non-news story. Unfortunately, caught fire because now people are blaming Microsoft like Microsoft has control. Matt, go ahead, take over for me here. Explain to the people, as far as your understanding goes, why this is not a Microsoft or Xbox problem, why Phil has nothing to do with this whatsoever, and why this was pretty obvious what's going on here.
Things were going to remain the status quo until this deal is done. That's pretty much all anybody needs to know. And this deal is not done. Right now, Activision Blizzard is operating amongst themselves like they always have been. They may be doing some transitional things with certain aspects and how to make the transition once the deal is finalized, but that has no effect on anything to do with the board, anything to do with any votes, anything to do with any of the regular day activities going on at Activision Blizzard, anything like that. And as soon as this news came out, it came to be like, oh, Xbox is going to keep on Bobby Kotick, which is like and so where do people get this from? Like, now, Pong, what happens to the board once this deal gets finalized?
It's dissolved. It's gone. They get paid and they're out. That's what happens to the board.
Interesting. So now, could Xbox potentially say, yeah, we want to keep you on board, Bobby, but do we think that's going to happen? No. right? But they cannot say that ahead of time. They cannot come out and say, hey, we're going to fire Bobby Kotick as soon as this deal is done. What's going to happen is this deal is going to be finalized. Everybody's going to get their paychecks, and certain people like the boogeyman here are going to find themselves on their very merry way out, right? And have nothing to do with it anymore. Maybe maintain a small portion of stock or something like that, or who knows exactly what. But as far as anything goes with any kind of decision making, any of that stuff, they're not going to be involved whatsoever anymore once this deal is done. But this deal is not done yet, Pong Soul.
No,
this deal is not done, Pong. And
no,
how could Xbox have any influence on who is voted to stay on the board right now? That would actually be very bad if they did that. That would actually potentially cause the deal to not go through if they were found to be influencing the board votes and everything going on at Activision Blizzard right now. So people going out there being like, oh, they're going to keep on Bobby for another year. This is even after this deal's going through. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And please stop trying to cause stupid, idiotic drama by spreading misinformation, because it does not help anybody. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of ignorant people out there that are just going to believe whatever these trolls say. And I don't know why, but the trolls like to feed other trolls, and those kind of start to spread around to a bunch of misinformation regarding Xbox, which is kind of par for the course. Now, a lot of these people also know better. It's just something they can easily use, because guess what? Bobby is a bad dude, and a lot of us know it. So anytime you talk about him, anything positive happening with that guy, it makes it easy to use that as ammunition towards other things, right? Correct. This guy does not need any help being looked any more badly at. Like he's when I talk about troll, I mean, he's like a human actual troll, right? He's like a piece of crap, right? So using that as ammunition, and everything that's happened there as ammunition against like Xbox, which has nothing to do with any of that, is just like toxic, right? Yeah. It's just ridiculous, right? So I don't know, man. It's baffling. I mean, I'm not mistaken about this, am I, Pong Soul? What's your take on the matter?
No, you're not mistaken, Mav. This is exactly what we assumed was going to happen. There was no chance of him being removed by his own board. They were not going to cause chaos and turmoil while this deal's going through from their side of things. Again, it's business as usual. Again, in business, you take the good with the bad. In a capitalistic society, you take the good with the bad. We know that there's both sides to this, okay? This guy here, does he deserve the position from a human standpoint that he is currently in? Does he deserve the salary? Does he deserve the bonuses? Of course not. He allowed an awful work environment to fester underneath him. He is the head of the cancer, okay? So absolutely not. Now, from a business standpoint, yes, again, he's a chess player, okay? He made these people rich. He brought Activision back from the dead and made it what it is today. Which one wins out? Well, like I said, in this type of society, in business, it's money, man. It's money.
And that tells you it's not just Bobby that's the problem there.
No,
right?
No, other people turn blind eyes.
It's all of these board members that are voting yes to keep Bobby Kotick in place are also, in my view, equally guilty there. But guess what happens when Activision Blizzard gets acquired officially by Xbox? They don't have to keep any of those people. They don't have to keep any of them. There's going to be a whole new leadership team implemented in there, and it's going to be very interesting what happens with that transition. So, it doesn't make sense, Pong. I mean,
no, it doesn't make sense. Now, world famous YouTube celeb, podcaster, a streamer extraordinaire, Asmongold, He's weighed in on this topic, and I watched a video. Shout out to Steele who sent it to me as well today. He weighed in on this, and he actually goes so far as to say, because he was laughing at the Kotaku article, which I refuse to read. I refuse to give them a click that trash company can burn. But he actually went on there and was making fun of whoever wrote the article because they, of course, used the Kotaku language, like ew, Bobby Kotick still there. They literally said ew in an article. Like, okay, listen. But he was making fun of him because he was like, he goes on to say it would not shock him that Microsoft does keep Bobby in a different position, not as head of Blizzard, Activision Blizzard anymore, but he wouldn't be surprised that they put Bobby in charge of like the metaverse or some craziness. Like, and he was being serious, but he was just telling everybody, he was telling all of his listeners and everybody, you know, all the people, wake up. This is business. Right? This is the almighty dollar rules, whether we like it or not. That's what it is at the end of the day. And again, when it comes to business, Bobby's a chess player. Okay. We can question some of his decisions business wise as well, but all of it was in the name of the stocks and the stockholders. And look, he drove Activision to its highest point in its history. Okay. So again, Asmund Gold thinks they might keep Bobby on. I don't think that at all. I think Phil, Satya, they don't want anything to do with this guy. They don't want him apart.
With their culture at Microsoft right now. It's like the complete opposite of they get criticism for this sometimes, right? In the community about how much of a focus they're putting on everything outside of their business, right? With like cultural inclusiveness and all this stuff, which I think is a positive thing, right? Personally, I like a lot of that stuff, but they do get criticism for different reasons regarding it. And like this, Microsoft's all in on this image right now, right?
Correct.
Like, regardless if you like it or not, right? They're all in on this image right now about, gaming is for everybody and all these different things. And like, they admit that they haven't been perfect in the past and they're not perfect now. And they got a lot of work to do and all these different things, but they are known for having a great workplace culture. Regardless of some people out there who like try and poo-poo on any of these like articles that are written about their workplace culture, all you have to do is actually talk to people that work for Microsoft, right? And there's plenty of them out there, right? We have friends in the community who happen to work for Microsoft, who happen to work for Xbox and such. And all you have to do is actually speak to these people and they're like, yeah, like a lot of these like surveys and stuff about how great Microsoft is to work at right now are actually true. They do a lot of these things and they have a big time focus on this stuff. So it would be damaging of them towards that image that they are portraying out there as one of the best places to be and pushing forward that, the image that they're trying to portray, right? I do not foresee Kotick having any position of leadership whatsoever at Microsoft after this deal is done. I doubt that it was a bargaining chip. He's going to get rich off of this deal just like he would have any other deal. He does not need that. He can take that money and go start another company, be a silent investor in something if he wants to, pull the strings from afar without being the face of a company and stuff anymore. Like, he could do whatever he wants. This guy's a power hungry monster, right? Like, he is. I mean, the fact that he's still there after everything,
egomaniac.
After all this happened, the fact that he was still there and was baffling. Now, we understood after a while he was still there, he was working on deals. He was trying to get, an actual acquisition to happen, and it actually worked out. He made the best deal for that company, which was going under Microsoft. If he had plans of staying in charge of Activision Blizzard, in my personal opinion, ain't no way in hell they would have sold out to anybody, right? Yep. This was his moving away. This was his, okay, the damage has been done. I got to get out of here, but I got to make sure we reap the best benefits possible for us and for the company and do its best for everybody in that situation. As much as we would like to think that he's not that type of person, at the end of the day, he did make the decision that's probably best for the employees with the acquisition to Microsoft. Nothing before that. And even ongoing things here, But that decision was probably the best thing for the Activision Blizzard employees, right? Selling to Microsoft, who is a company that is synonymous now with workplace culture and all of these different things, right? Also for the shareholders and everything like that, getting the best bang for your buck. This is his way out, and to leave it in a good place because it is something that he built. Does he deserve all the rewards, right? So part of you could say, well, he did build it from scratch, so there's something, but for me, he lost all that with all the things that he ignored, right? So he does not deserve anything, but realistically, that's not going to happen. No matter what situation, he could have just left at any time, and he would have gotten that, right? He could have had his shares bought out. It would have been less than what he's getting now.
Yes.
Right. But he could have sold off his shares at any point and still had been filthy rich. Right. It's just unfortunately the way it is. That's not Microsoft's fault. Microsoft in this situation is got their hands tied right now until this deal goes through. I just do not foresee any way that he's going to be a part of what they're doing when they know, and in fact, actually had made a statement before this acquisition happened about Activision Blizzard, and that they are like looking at potentially changing the relationship, right? So there's definitely things that happened that they would not be okay with bringing on board for them.
No, not at all. And again, this isn't unique to Bobby Kotick either, right? This is what happens in business in large companies. Most CEOs have a golden parachute if they're forced out. Okay, we see it all the time. We see
especially
people,
ones that are like they have such a large portion of the company. You know what I mean?
CEOs, but we see it all the time. CEOs fail. A company goes down the tubes, and they still get their golden parachute as they get pushed out the door to bring somebody new in to try to clean up their mess. Right? This is normal. Now, Bobby Kotick's happens to be kind of extreme. There are reports out there somewhere between $200 and $300 million is what he's going to get paid to leave. But that's because, again, he built Activision with the Call of Duty franchise, among others, of course, along with the Blizzard deal that he was a part of to bring Blizzard on board into one of the biggest publishing houses in the world as far as video games go. So, again, it's not pretty. It's not cool. None of us can sit back and go, oh, yeah, he deserves it. No. He's gotten paid $20 million bonuses every year now for like the past however long it's been. Look, dude's filthy, okay? It is what it is. He's an awful human being, but as you said, Matt, this isn't Microsoft's fault. Microsoft, if they eat it and they give him the golden parachute and boot him out the door, look, props to Microsoft for paying, okay, to get him the hell out of there and get him away from this company and get him away from the employees. That whole company needs a breath of fresh air. They need to open up all the windows, and they need to clean the stink out. And that starts with Bobby throwing him out the top floor window. Okay.
Yeah.
Not literally. Okay. Not literally. I know we're on a podcast. You're not supposed to say stuff, whatever. But you got to get rid of him. And that starts there. The rest of the board will be dissolved. It'll be gone. Then you start over and you rebuild that. And they are internally right now doing some house cleaning, but I'm sure it's not going to be done when Microsoft gets a hold of them. I'm sure they are going to have their own checklist of people that they believe need to be gone and other people that need to be moved up to try to make this a fresh change for that entire company.
And they can do their own investigations as well. Once that happens, once that deal is finalized, they can do their own investigations, have their own interviews with employees, right? Discussions. Like I would be shocked if after this deal doesn't go through, if they didn't have like this big human resource type team go through there with like all these different people that are experts in different things and do interviews with people and get to the root of what the problems were, right? Figure out, silent interviews, you bring in, you have an office set, you bring each person individually and you get their take on the situations, culture, everything that happened. And then you take all that information after the fact, you look at everybody's accounts and see what matches up, right? To see what matches up, see who keeps getting mentioned, all these different things out the door, right? Those people gone, right? You clean house, you implement new leadership, you bring in teams. What have we seen from every single acquisition that Xbox has made so far, Pong? We've seen growth, right? We've seen growth and we've seen an investment into those. Now, this is their biggest acquisition they've made yet. So to think that they aren't going to double down on this and try and make sure that this goes right, and they don't do everything they possibly can to make sure that this is a success for them, would be ludicrous, right? That they are absolutely going to do that. And I think it's going to be a different Activision Blizzard once this deal is finalized. They got a lot of work to do, right? It's not going to be like a overnight change, obviously.
No,
it's going to take some time, but you got to start somewhere.
Years.
It's going to start somewhere, right? And that's the first start, is right when this deal gets finalized. And that's part of the reason why, one of the reasons why they may want this deal to be done as soon as possible, right? They
got to get started.
They got to get started on this. It's going to be a big, long process, They can make a big change right away, but it's not going to be perfect,
No.
I think. But what I do know is knowing that situations are going to be what they are, and the way that Microsoft runs their businesses now, going forward with that, a lot of people are not going to have that in their back of the head. Am I allowed to be excited for this game? Like Diablo 4, right? Am I allowed to be excited for that? Knowing it, once you cut out the cancer, right? Once you cut that out, those people no longer involved. It's about building back up, right?
Yep.
And at that point, when things are on the right track, I believe it's okay to be excited for these things, right? So
yeah, correct.
It is for me anyway, right?
That's the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. That's the light at the tunnel for everybody, employees included, right? And Phil already knows they got a monumental task here ahead of them, like you were talking about, man. It's not going to be an overnight change. That Activision Blizzard has already lost an extreme amount of talent. The only thing that saved them is that they just have so much of it because they're so gigantic. They've lost a ton of talent, people that have been able to go elsewhere. Not everybody's got that ability, right? Not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to pick up families and leave and go someplace new. But a lot of people have, and they've got to somehow, like you said, Matt, every company that Microsoft Xbox has brought underneath the umbrella has grown. They're going to have to replace what has been lost. They're going to have to try to get some of that talent back in-house again for their plans in the future, especially if what Phil's talking about, letting some of these teams finally get unshackled from Call of Duty and go do games again that they want to do. Some of that talent's going to have to come back, and they're going to need to grow some of those teams like Toys for Bob's, et cetera, and get them up to speed. So it is a monumental task, but they have to start somewhere. And like you said, Mav, that's obviously there's a business side of things. They want this deal done because obviously it's going to be a huge advertisement for them when they can drop all the Activision Blizzard games into Game Pass. It's going to be a huge, huge win. But there's also the human side of things. And I'm sure Phil and the whole HR department from Microsoft want to get in there and start the actual process of being hands-on, because right now they can't be hands-on. They have to be completely hands-off and just watch from afar, but they got to be able to get in there and dig deep and start finding all the dirt left in the corners and the cracks and start really doing some repairs internally on that whole entire place. And I think that's what they're excited to do. And just probably frustrated sitting on the outside going, we just want to get in there and get this thing done. Yeah. So it's gonna be a big moment for them, but no, at the end of the day, what about Bob? Bob is going to be forgotten. Bob is going to be gone. I expect nothing less from Microsoft. Again, the moves that they've made, even up recently, show that they're not putting up with any nonsense underneath their name anymore. Like you said, it's a new culture. It's a new Microsoft. They've been doing this now for years, especially under Satya's leadership. Yeah. Really change the focus of what that company is about. Do they still have some of the old Microsoft DNA? Of course they do. They didn't get to where they are now without having that DNA. But from the human side of thing, Microsoft is trying to be a company that leads from the front. They're not trying to be somebody that plays catch up. They want to be on top of all the things that come that are important when it comes to their employees and their culture, the company culture. So I definitely think that's going to continue here as well. Hey, shout out to Nola Origins showing up. Victor Click dropping in here from work. He's not quite done yet. Marlesco, good to see you, brother. I saw Jigga J dropped in here too. Jigga J, thank you as always, man, for showing up and saying hi. Ray Oid, always good to see you as well. Everybody hanging out here. Razor NZ, I see you. Did you say good morning? It must be morning over New Zealand. I love taking quick flights over to New Zealand when we get to play a game early. I tried on Shadowrun, it didn't work. So, but thank you for dropping in here and checking us out. Well, Mav. I think we took care of Bobby. Good old Bobby. Let's see here. What do we got next on the agenda? You know what, Mav? Let's skip around here. I didn't even put this in the list, but let's talk about this real quick. I'm sure you already saw as well. Microsoft still, Xbox still kicking butt over in Japan, brother. Still kicking butt over in Japan. Like, look, again, I preface this every single time by saying, look, this is not like some changing of the guard over in Japan. Nintendo owns Japan, okay? And Sony is still, whatever you want to say, second place over there to Nintendo. They are still the kings, but we cannot ignore the fact, Mav, that that Xbox outsold them again, okay? And this time around, it wasn't just the S that was selling. It was the X. The X actually sold more. So total sales, and this, of course, according to VG charts, which we, again, know isn't perfect, but from Japan, the numbers are better. 6,695 units between the two. And I believe that the Series X was like 32, or no, wait, it was more than that. It was like 3,700 of those, I want to say, something like that. So it had the majority of the sales because everybody was, everybody who poo-poos this stuff says, well, the S, it's only because of the S. This time around was the X carrying the load. And then the PlayStation 5 sold 3,035 units, which obviously we will assume is still a supply chain issue. They're still obviously probably are not stocking as heavy as they normally would over in Japan. But the mere fact that the Xbox continues to sell like this and even has a chance to top PlayStation 5, no matter what the excuses are, no matter what the real reasons may be, is still crazy, Mav, after the generation we just came off of.
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah.
But I want to get your thoughts on it, Mav. But, also, look, you saw the focus at the Xbox Bethesda showcase. They are going heavy into the East, man. They are doing this. We had this week as well. They just had a indie developer conference in Korea, in South Korea. They've got reps now in these territories, specific for the territories. For people who don't know, this is the place, this is the stuff that Xbox in the past, even when they were trying, lacked. They didn't have native reps in these different territories to help people. They didn't have that kind of presence within these territories. Yeah, they threw a lot of money in there. Of course, they had people try to help those people, but that's different than actually having a group or people in those locations that are direct representatives to people who understand the culture and communities that they're speaking to over there. Again, we just heard Sarah Bond say they've got their first rep in Africa now. Again, a place that nobody thinks about for game development, but this is the new world. This is what Xbox sees now, man. So we saw them come out. They got the deal done with Kojima. It's going to be a long time from now before we see something out of that. But hey, its deal is signed. It is announced. Kojima's on board. Then we saw Persona series, not just Persona 5 Royale, but also Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden, both of which have never seen console releases before, coming to Xbox, not having to wait, but coming to Xbox and coming into Game Pass day and date, along with Persona 5 Royale, the biggest of the Persona series so far that kind of went mainstream. That is finally coming in October. That's going to be the first one. And then we're going to get the other two later, which are in development. We saw the deal with Kotick, and we haven't seen a deal like that since the 360 days. Mav, what do you think about this, brother? Xbox in the East making some baby steps, let's put it that way, right? More so than they have in a very long time, brother. This is something different, man. This is what we've talked about with the cloud, with Game Pass, with the Series S, nice small form factor, cheaper. Brother, it looks like it's working. What do you think? What do you think? Is this a sign of things come?
It's definitely working, man. I mean, like, it's not gonna outsell PlayStation globally like overnight or anything like that, especially in the East. But like you're talking about multiple weeks now where you're starting to see them on top. Regardless of the PlayStation numbers themselves, the Xbox numbers are way up in Japan where they were before. So irrelevant of like who's winning or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Like for the market to be increasing in Japan is the most important aspect here, which it is dramatically. Not only that, but like the just general sense, like, hey, it's cool to like Xbox, right? In Japan, right? It's like it's okay to like Xbox. You got people buying Xboxes. You got people. What I'm even more curious about is the Game Pass subscribers in those territories, right? I would love to know like what those numbers are, because just like you were saying, the Persona games and all these other things, right? Like, Persona, is it coming to Game Pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
When that happens, is that something where people go, oh, cool, I'm going to be able to play Persona on my phone, which they have an amazing networks in Japan for mobile network and internet, right? So am I going to be able to play Persona now on my phone or on my laptop or wherever I want to play it, right? That's going to go a long way, not just for that, but for the new Team Ninja game as well, right? You got that Soul Hackers 2 game coming as well. You got lots of things. Even this other battle royale that just hit to what's it called? Tamaka, Mataka, blah, blah, blah. Naraka. Sorry, yeah, Naraka.
Yes. Yes.
That could even be a big deal. You know what I mean? Like the more things that release and the less things that skip the Xbox ecosystem becomes less of a reason for people to stay away from it. Right. It doesn't it's not going to have to appeal to the masses, every single thing that they release on there, but it needs to have something for everybody. Right. And when you release different genres and different types of games that especially avoided Xbox and the Xbox One generation, you're appealing to a different audience. Right. So even beyond I think that the console sales are just a good sign of the brand being healthy. Right. And Game Pass potentially being even more successful there than we know about right now. You know what I mean? Because they don't release those numbers, they don't release those numbers until they hit milestones, and they don't separate them by region usually either, so we don't know how many Game Pass users there are in Asia or Japan specifically, or Canada or US or whatever. We have no clue, but that's the bigger factor here. But because that's such a low access point, and that's a key in a place like Japan. I see them within 2 weeks. Xbox is going to be on top of PlayStation in the US, and as far as lifetime sales for current gen consoles, Xbox Series X and S will be above PlayStation 5 in the United States, Canada region. I think also includes Mexico, North America, territories, by 2 weeks from now. Lifetime. They're 10,000 behind, Pong. 10,000 consoles.
No, I know they're right there.
And they've been making ground of about 20, 30,000 a week. Like I said this a couple months ago. I said within a couple months, so they're going to be number one in the US. If you said that last generation, not even close. If you were to say that Xbox is going to outsell PlayStation in Japan for even more than 2 weeks, you'd be like, no, that's never going to happen. Right.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Globally, they got a lot of catching up to do still. They're 5 million behind total, roughly. Right. But they're gaining ground pretty consistently. So regardless of anything, though, you're not at a 2-to-1 ratio anymore like last gen.
Days are gone.
And the other key aspect is the console is least important for Xbox than it is any other brand, because of all the options you have to play on all these different devices, right? So once that Samsung thing really gets the ground rolling, and once everything else is really taken off.
The streaming device.
The streaming devices out there and all that different kind of stuff, man. It's just like, even with the console being less important compared to PlayStation, where you only right now can play games day one on the PlayStation 5 or PS4, and then later they come out to PC, and that's your only option, right? You know, the Switch, you get to play it on the Switch. Nintendo games is the only place to play unless you emulate or whatever. Xbox, you got all these different places you can play their games, right? But they're still winning in sales. So what does that tell people? Hey, well, all these people are like, the console isn't going to matter anymore if you start putting stuff on PC and like you start putting stuff in the cloud and on phones. The console's not, at that point, why even make a console? Guess what? People want the consoles because they're good. They are great places to play. You get a great experience. You know, you log in, you got everything right there. You launch your game, you're good to go. Right? And it plays in an optimized way that is best for that device, right? There's going to be a market for consoles for an extremely long time, and Xbox does not lose sight of that. So for me, the sign of health is the console sales, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Because beyond that, you got all this other stuff that we don't even have guesses of the numbers of, right? And who knows how many Game Pass subscribers are there. And that's the number one goal for Xbox. And for every few thousand consoles you can see sold, I bet there's more Game Pass subscriptions. So that's even more important. And it's going to be interesting when, you know, you got people on a subway or like walking down the street and they see this like, hey, what are you doing, man? He's like, hey, I'm playing Persona on my phone. How the hell are you doing that?
Right.
Game Pass. How much is it? Sign up for $1 for 3 months. What? You know, it's like the stuff will build upon itself. You know what I mean? Right. And it's crazy to see that all these things we've been saying, Pong, for ever since we kind of met, we've been on this right. in sync on this stuff, right? Like mindset, because very forward thinking about where this technology is headed, where Microsoft was headed, where gaming is headed in general. And this is not just Xbox. It'll get there for other companies as well. We're starting to see the results finally and to see these things come to fruition, right? Xbox's E3 presence or non-E3, whatever you want to call it, was a great it was a great representation of that.
Correct.
Because you didn't have just the console space there. You know, you had Riot Games there. You had this Japanese presence there as well. You had these indie games there. You had your AAA stuff there. And you said they had stuff for everybody, and they focused on the 12-month thing, which I can kind of criticize them a little bit here and there. But with everything that got going on, man, do you see any slowing down? I only see things ramping up even faster than this. Now, does it matter if they necessarily outsell PlayStation? Like, for me, it doesn't like necessarily matter. It's just interesting, you know, that they've had such a turnaround hardware-wise when everybody said the hardware didn't matter anymore. Right? Like, interesting. Where do you think it's going?
It's funny, Mav, because now that they've taken the focus off sometimes this happens, like even like in your daily life, sometimes you could be so focused on something and you try so damn hard at something and it still seems to not work out. But then all of a sudden you shift your focus to a different way of thinking or a different perspective, and you lay off of whatever you were just absolutely grinding on. And all of a sudden that thing starts flourishing. And Xbox is doing that by taking away the priority of the console, by not focusing solely on just the capped market that is consoles, just that fan base alone, but saying we're going to go beyond that. And that's our entire plan here is we want mobile. We want PC players. We want anybody who plays anywhere, whether it's on your TV directly from an app or whether it's on your tablet, whatever the case, even the Steam Deck. We want all of you people to have access to our ecosystem. And the minute that they started doing that, and they started planning for this moment, this generation specifically, and they started making all those steps, which started last gen, but really came into play this gen as they got all the pieces kind of lined up. Now, there's been things that have happened that obviously have slowed that have cost them a little bit in certain areas. But all that prepping and planning for this moment in time is now bearing fruit. And that's what we see here. So now that they don't worry about the console sales and they just say, hey, we want you to play wherever you want to play. And they're going out and proving that by investing heavily into Game Pass, by investing heavily into xCloud, and making sure that they have all these systems up to par. And as the tech gets better and better, they're going to be at the forefront of implementing all that tech to make sure that people are getting the best experiences possible. All of that suddenly now people are coming into the ecosystem and willing to invest in a console in places that they haven't been for an entire generation, right? The 360 had, again, success in quotes for Xbox, right? It was successful. 360 was a good generation over there. And they're not necessarily, if you look at the charts, they're obviously way beyond the Xbox One at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not quite on the Xbox 360 pace per se. But what you do see is this steady climb in the charts as they keep putting up numbers. And again, whatever the reasons, I'm not going to sit here and try to blow smoke up at anybody's ass that if PlayStation and Xbox had the equal amount of consoles on the shelves over in Japan, that Xbox would outsell them. I'm not going to sit here and say that today, okay? Not even close, okay? But the effort is showing, and the people over in Japan are respecting what's happening. And again, we cannot discount the trips, the time that Phil, Sarah Bond, the rest of the team has put in over on the East, not just in Japan, but in India, in Korea, in China. All that effort is actually starting to gain some momentum. And that's the thing that they've lacked. They bought their way in with the 360 generation. They went over there and paid for exclusive JRPGs to come to Xbox. We have not had those. I'd love to see another Last Odyssey. Love to see a Last Odyssey 2. But they have not made those type of deals. But what they have done is they've gone back to the basics over there. They're starting at the ground floor on each of those territories. And they're saying, let's work with the small developers, those indie developers. We're going to continue to communicate with the big guys. We're going to develop our relationships. We're going to continue to reinforce the Sega relationship. We're going to work with Bandai Namco, a company that seems open to us, and work with them and get things like Scarlet Nexus and stuff to come into Game Pass eventually, right? We're going to work with them. We're going to form those relationships, but we're also going to be deep into the indie scene over there because that's this generation, right? We've been seeing the indies grow and grow and grow. But right now, indie developers, with how big this industry is and how much money's in it, there's never been more indie developers. And now they have access to tools like Unreal 5 that levels the playing field. So they're going to work with those people. Some of those people are going to be the future stars of this industry someday. And they know that. So they're starting from the ground up. And it's working, man. It's working slowly but surely. That's all you can ask for at this point. Again, that is Nintendo country, specifically in Japan and pretty much all the East, right? Sony is second there. They've dominated before over there, Sony land, but they took their focus off. Let's be real. Sony took their focus off over there. They moved their corporate headquarters because they want to be known more as a Western market. The Western market is much bigger than the Eastern market. However, with the growth in the other territories, Korea, China, look, those territories are huge. And there's altogether, the East is worth a big piece of the pie when you start counting 2 billion, 3 billion people, because we know the majority is mobile over there.
Not only that, Pong, but you can't tell me that the PS5 was designed with that market in mind.
No,
at all.
even
I
the
mean,
changing the button layout. The changing the button layout costs mass people to be upset over there, right?
But even the size and the
correct,
like,
right, the form factor. Yes.
Like, I'm not going to say that Xbox Series X is either, but the magic here is the Series S.
Correct.
Is, but like, PS5 was not made with that gamer in mind, right? Yep. Xbox has been the one that has failed on this many a times, right? This time they're the ones that actually kind of succeeded in that factor, not just the Series S, but also with all of the other things that they're able to do, allowing people to play games in other ways. So that's one reason you're seeing this. Now, PlayStation's still selling there, you know what I mean, and it's still selling out, availability and stuff like that. But but it's not going gangbusters like it has before.
No,
them,
no.
So
no, and it may still. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. It may still, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Like it's like Phil's not set on just outselling. Again, like we just talked about, the consoles are the secondary to Xbox and their overall goals. They're not worried about that. If they sell consoles, obviously that's a great freaking fantastic thing. But because it's not their focus, because they're trying to get people in so many other different ways, that they don't care so much about that. But this does give you some proof that what they're doing is working, right? And that's exactly why they got a game like Naraka Blade Point to come over to Xbox, right? Did they help the developer out? I'm sure they did help the developer out. But the fact that a company like that in NetEase would even look at Xbox first and even cut a deal like that to bring a free-to-play game to Xbox, the potential of that player base in Game Pass, the potential of people being able to play that game on their mobile phone through the xCloud, etc., is a testament to what Phil and his team have been doing, along with Kojima cutting a deal with Xbox to make a cloud-based game, a brand new experience, shows that it's working, that those types of people and those types of companies would even consider working with Xbox is a difference maker. And that's exactly what's happening here. And yes, Risk It, shout out to Risk It for the biscuit in here. He said, so what you're saying, Pong, is they're developing the developer relationships that develop games to develop a fan base the developers can look to when developing games to develop a steady stream of fans. Couldn't said it better myself, sir. That's right. Develop. That's what everybody, this name of the game right now. And that's what it's all about. And again, I'm not going to sit here and claim victory or anything like that, but this is good signs. This is positive signs of what's happening over there. Shout out to Psychonauts 2, who roll on through. Brother with a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, sir. Said, what's up, Pong and Mav? Naraka is great. Hello, chat. Hello to you, brother.
Yeah, I need
and
to
yes,
install it, man. I do.
Naraka is really good. But yes, all of this is going to be leading up to what Xbox sees as the future when a country like Japan specifically, or Korea, consoles and form factor are all important because space is limited over there. That's not some type of stereotype. That is a legit concern for people over there. It's not what we think about. If you don't know what Japan's like, you don't understand why that's such a big deal, but it is a big deal. That's why so many people game on mobile. That's why people don't necessarily have a ton of big giant PC rigs in their apartments over there. They go to actual, PC cafes,
internet
PC cafes,
yeah.
internet cafes, and they play games there for hours on end. That's the reason why an Xbox understands this, and that's what they're doing. And man, that's actually a pretty good transition to our next topic. Not the biggest topic. Not everybody talked about it, but you and I see a lot of potential. And we always like to look at these little kind of tidbits of news, and we like to try to see what the bigger kind of picture is, what we could see coming from it. So Tom Warren, shout out to Tom Warren over at The Verge, came out with an article yesterday in the morning and made this little kind of just news blip. He posted on Twitter too, but not too many people picked up on it, but we kind of DM back and forth about it. And he says, Xbox Cloud Gaming is getting mouse and keyboard support and latency improvements. He goes on to say, Microsoft is preparing to add mouse and keyboard support to its Xbox Cloud Gaming, xCloud service that streams Xbox games to TVs, PCs, mobile devices, and more. Software giant teased this addition earlier this year, and now it's encouraging game developers to get ready for mouse and keyboard support and some big latency improvements on Xbox Cloud Gaming soon. Quote, Xbox has been supporting keyboard and mouse for a few years now, working on adding it to the streaming for our PC users, explains Morgan Brown, a software engineer on Microsoft's Xbox game streaming team. But you can start adding it to your game right now, and your console, keyboard, and mouse users will appreciate it. It will light up in streaming once we finished adding it. Microsoft Flight Simulator boss Jorg Newman previously teased that the addition of mouse and keyboard support on Xbox Cloud Gaming could appear this summer. Microsoft is encouraging developers to start thinking more about mouse and keyboard support for Xbox games streamed to PC. It's likely that we will start to see this show up soon. We could see games like Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, Halo Infinite, even Fortnite all support mouse and keyboard through Xbox Cloud Gaming. The list of Xbox games that support mouse and keyboard is still relatively small, though. It will be particularly useful when Microsoft expands the Xbox Cloud Gaming library later this year. Alongside mouse and keyboard support, Microsoft is also offering developers more ways to improve streaming latency in games. Microsoft has been working with a new display details API, which can save up to 72 milliseconds of latency overall. This is achieved by using direct capture, which reproduces the hardware features in software to eliminate the wait time for VSync and double or triple buffering, and even the scaling needed for TVs. Scaling and artifacts all add extra latency for game streaming, and many games already support direct capture to improve their performance on Xbox Cloud Gaming. Latency can drop as low as 2 to 12 milliseconds compared to 8 to 74 milliseconds through the traditional display pipeline. There are some limitations, though. Direct capture only supports maximum resolution of 1440p and does not support dynamic resolution or HDR just yet. The resolution limitation won't be an issue for most game developers right now, as Xbox Cloud Gaming scales games down to 720p on mobile and 1080p on PC and the web. Microsoft does eventually expect to support higher resolutions, but there's no timeline on 1440p or 4K support for the new Xbox TV app. That's something that we will expect that will change over time based on different devices, network conditions, and improvements to the streaming stack, explains Brown. Tools will be available for developers soon to test their games to find out how to support direct capture. This is the last part. The latency improvements are key for game streaming services like Xbox Cloud Gaming. And as a direct capture shows, it's not just all about reducing network latency. NVIDIA launched its RTX 3080 GeForce Now tier last year with impressive latency improvements. NVIDIA built its own adaptive sync technology, which varies the game rendering to match a synchronous monitor and allows GeForce Now to sync streamed games to any 60 hertz or 120 hertz monitor. NVIDIA's adaptive sync will also reduce some buffering between the CPU and GPU on the server side, and the end result is some impressive latency improvements over what's available from Google Stadia or Xbox Cloud Gaming. NVIDIA even claims to beat an Xbox Series X running locally at 60 frames per second, thanks to its 120 frames per second GeForce Now support. So, Matt, xCloud getting keyboard and mouse support. Obviously, big deal for PC gaming. As more people try out the streaming, and some people have some really good results with it. Obviously, this being added is going to be huge. Getting the developers prepped for it, telling developers to start implementing this. Again, this is a part of the PC push that Xbox is making. Just talked about Riot Games. You brought it up in the last conversation we just had. The deal with Riot Games, for Game Pass. Look, this is their focus. They came out last year and said that this was going to be their focus for 2022, that PC gaming was next on the list of things to get up to par, along with obviously the console and Game Pass and all that kind of stuff. So this is huge, man. This is also down the road, Matt. as far as an entire ecosystem goes and allowing people to play whatever they want, wherever they want, this could have bigger ramifications. Mav, what do you think? Where are you at with this program?
I think we both know where we're thinking, right?
Mhm.
And what
Yeah.
we want is I want PC Game Pass to come to consoles.
Yes, sir.
That's where you're going to see a massive change in the market potentially when you have PC games, and that is growing right now. I mean, that Riot Games deal, for example, is huge. You know, other games are coming to PC day one. This whole onslaught of first party content that is about to start this regular flow starting in early 2023. All of these games that some would be very popular on PC, like Starfield, etc., being available in a service. Right now, you got to say like, okay, so I'm a PC gamer, right? I like sitting at a desk. You know, I like sitting at a desk using a mouse and a keyboard. I go out there, I'm shopping around. Shit, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. You know, to get a PC that's really capable of running these games at like 60 frames per second, right? Like, oh, or potentially, you know, like I got a great internet connection, you know, like internet's great. I got like hardwire this Xbox Series X or Series S or Xbox One for that matter that I have laying around because I just, you know, stopped playing on the 1S last generation or whatever, you know. I can just set that up on my desk and hook it up to my monitor and hook up a mouse and keyboard, and I can play PC games on it via the cloud at 1080p 60. That sounds like a pretty damn good deal.
Let's go.
Sounds like a pretty damn good deal. That's where I think you're going to see a potential shift, man. Because for a lot of like PC gamers, it's just about the games, and they like the experience of the monitor and the mouse and the keyboard and all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, big time hardcore PC gamers want the full on rig, right? You know what I mean? But this is going to appeal to like, you know, the students and like the dorm rooms and like, you know, like the kids and stuff that want to get into that. People that want to start streaming or any of this other stuff. I mean, the ease of access into that world is so small, right? I could even foresee Pong monitors, maybe by Samsung and such, with just the PC Game Pass app built in as well, right? Now, where do you hook your mouse and keyboard up at that point, right? But like maybe you have another port at some point or a way to do that. I don't know, but like if you're already going to have controller support, maybe Bluetooth mouse and keyboard support for monitors in the future as well.
Or the streaming device could support it.
The streaming device in it itself, if it's $100, you hook that in. You don't even need the console at that point, right?
Right.
But man, if you opened it up to console, then that would open up another world for me. Because guess what? I could play Company Heroes. I could play Age of Empires. I could play this Total War, Warhammer. The other one that's coming out, what was the new one? Three Houses, or I think.
Yeah. Yes. Three Kingdoms.
So much stuff. This new Ara game that's coming.
That Dune RTS that's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And there's so many things that come into PC Game Pass that you don't get on console currently because of mouse and keyboard and all this stuff. And they could bring them. Like we're hoping they do. But like just to have it as an option where you don't even necessarily have to make it operate natively on a console, that would be the next level for me. What they're talking about here is the starting aspect of making console gaming work better on PCs with the cloud. But why not do the opposite as well, right? Make it an option, have another category there to access PC Game Pass with keyboard and mouse support, which Xbox already supports. You can hook up a keyboard and mouse into it, right? And if you have PC Game Pass, roll onto there. That's the next level stuff. And then that could open the door for maybe other things. Maybe you have a way to access Steam via the cloud or Steam streaming to your console. Other things like that. That would be amazing, dude. But like, what do you think? Like, this is opening the door for that possibility, you think?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Because again, they keep telling us what they want, man. They want you to be able to play all of your content wherever you are, whatever you're on, right?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal here for Phil and the team. And again, right now, tech wise, because they're trying something completely different than that's ever been done in this industry before, with how they're setting up Game Pass and all that kind of stuff. Right now, it's divided. You have PC Game Pass, you have Xbox, you have console Game Pass, right? So you've got these two different storefronts all underneath the same ecosystem. But their ultimate goal is to allow anybody who's invested in this ecosystem, that's going to eventually include mobile as well. Why would they not? If they have the ability to do this, and they are getting it down now where they are starting to implement, this functionality at this level, and they're going to be able to get the latency down. And they're talking about eventually be able to stream 1440, 4K, just like we saw the transition with movies, eventually be able to stream that. Now, 4K is normal for movies. Eventually that's going to happen with gaming as well. Why, if they're now to this point where they're implementing, why would Phil not open up or want to open up the ecosystem so that it's just one big, gigantic Xbox ecosystem? Where if you want to play a PC game, you don't necessarily have a PC, but you have a console, or you have a streaming device, or you have the app on your TV, and you have the ability to hook up a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, or a wired one in the case of Xbox. Why would you not allow that to happen? It only makes sense that they would do this because, again, that's just more accessibility. That is more barriers brought down for people to start playing games, because they don't care what types of game it is. They don't care if you're playing a PC game. They don't care if you're playing an Xbox game. They care that you're subscribed to Game Pass. So if they can offer that to all the Xbox Ultimate Game Pass subscribers out there who have, like me, who have the PC side as well, but doesn't have a PC that can run those games, well, guess what? That just is more advertising, more marketing for them. Hey, you don't have a PC, you don't have a big rig. Guess what? Now, from your console, from your $500 or $300 console, you can go ahead and stream those RTS games. All you need is a keyboard and mouse, and you can go ahead and stream PC games. That opens up a whole nother side of the library to that, right? More value, just more value brought in. Look, ultimate goal, 2 billion, 3 billion people. They want everybody being able to have this huge, again, when I think that they talk about meta, they want to own the keys to the kingdom, which is the Azure servers. And then everything else is underneath those Azure servers. And eventually, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever the case may be down the road, you're just able to access everything through one portal, and it opens up. You may have bought different things from different storefronts all over the world, Sony, Nintendo, whatever, but you're going to be able to have access to all that content underneath one portal, which is the Azure servers. And I think that that's the ultimate goal. So yes, I think eventually, again, it just makes too much sense, Mav, not to do it. If you're going to have all this access, the console already supports keyboard and mouse. We know this. Why not just open it up? Again, another option. People don't have to play those games, but it's there if they ever want to choose to sit down and do it. Like you said, freaking, this is big. I love this. This is, again, we've been seeing this, Mav. Like you said, we since you and I first met, we started talking about this, and we started hearing about the strategy that Xbox was starting to deploy, and what Phil's ideas were and Satya's ideas were when they were all in finally on this whole process in this ecosystem. This is exactly what we thought about, that eventually that we get to, there is no real, yeah, sure, playing on actual hardware will be better than streaming for quite a while longer. Phil's talked about that. But just having the ability to be able to play anywhere you are, any type of game you want to, that's what it's all about. That's the dream, right? That's part of that utopian dream that we all have, that, hey, I don't have to worry about if I'm not in front of my console right now. I just flip on my TV wherever I'm at, or if I'm traveling, I just flip on whatever I'm, at the hotel or whatever. And I don't have to have anything except for maybe a streaming device at the most. And I can have access to all my gaming needs right there. And that's where they're headed. And I think that that's the ultimate dream. And I think that we're getting closer and closer. But this keyboard and mouse thing, again, for you and I as RTS lovers, strategy lovers who would love to have access to those PC games, this just makes too much sense, man. I think they're eventually going to do it. I think they're going to open it up to everybody, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. I'm going to be so freaking happy. We're going to be doing a whole show about it.
Do you think PC gamers will be crying, but my PC isn't special anymore, like some Xbox people did last generation, or PlayStation people might be doing now? I don't think they give a shit.
Nope, they don't give a shit. They're too happy about getting on console games now. So again, they try to act high and mighty, but they were port begging for console games. They all wanted the console games again. Now they got them. They're getting them from Sony. They're getting them from Xbox. The only people holding out is Nintendo. But hell, they can emulate those, so they don't even care. They're getting all the best games from everywhere on top of their PC games. So they're happy campers. They're not going to care who the hell is playing.
No,
not at all. Oh God, this is good news. I hope it comes sooner than later, and I think it will. Actually, I honestly do think they're headed that way. And all these deals. Just think about it. League of Legends opened up to console players, with that new Game Pass deal. My God, it's a whole. Again, the devs are going to be ecstatic if they do that, right? More gamers jumping into their games that were locked to PC. Now they got the console only people jumping in, right? Spending money if they want to, right? Bro, it's win-win for everybody all the way around. So, love to hear this stuff. Let's do a couple smaller things here, Matt, real quick. For anybody who didn't hear,
things for us sometimes turned into big things.
Yeah, I know they do. We have a tendency of doing that.
That's okay.
So anybody not paying attention today, maybe you're stuck at work or whatever the case may be. Hey, we finally, and I saw some people in the chat talking about it as well. We finally got a release date now for a game that a lot of people have been waiting on. And that's Plague's Tale Requiem. The second game from Asobo. Obviously a really beloved game. Most people who have played that game enjoy the hell out of that. And we've been waiting on Requiem, and there was rumors that it was going to be this month. We thought it might be shadow dropped at the Xbox Bethesda showcase. That didn't happen, but they finally came out today. The developers did, and had a release trailer go live, and it is October the 18th. October is now getting stacked.
Yeah.
Like
pretty damn big month.
Yeah, it's turning into it's kind of turning into February all over again. October is going to be a gigantic month for gaming in general. So Mav, but Plague's Tale Requiem, I can't remember if you finished the first one or if you just played it.
A little over halfway through, I think.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay. Cool.
It's one of these games. I freaking love it. It's awesome. It's just I started playing something else. I just haven't gone back to it yet. You know what I mean? I was really impressed with it. I was really late to the party on that game. Like I didn't play it like right away. Like I'm planning on doing this one. Is one I heard about a lot. Didn't really appeal to me. Like looking at it from like a distance, kind of like, oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with who the dev was. I learned more about the dev once Flight Sim came out. I'm like, oh wow, the same people made Plague Tale, that kind of stuff. I'm like, they're really impressive. And I started looking into all the other things they made. Wow, they make good stuff. And a bunch of people had told me, Plague Tale is amazing, So I tried it, and after it got either a FPS boost or like an update for next gen. I can't remember exactly when I gave it a go, but I was like, wow, this is really impressive graphics, story, gameplay. Everything was really solid. And then we found out at last year's E3 show that they are making a sequel. And that was a pretty big deal. It was announced at the time that it was coming to Game Pass day one. So we've had this on the horizon for this year for a while. And I think this is going to be a pretty big game. It's not an exclusive, right?
No.
On Xbox, or on anything, but it is in Game Pass. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to get played by a lot of people. Right. It's a pretty big release to be in Game Pass from a third party. This is not published by Microsoft either, I don't believe, in any kind of way. So it's going to be really good, man. They released some extended gameplay footage today.
Yes.
And it's looking even more and more impressive. Asobo's flexing their muscles on graphics and stuff here. I know a lot of people that are going to be extremely excited for this game when it drops. So I can't wait to give it a shot, man. I do want to finish the first one, and I got to get cracking on that. I have until October. What I'll probably do is kind of wait it, but like a couple weeks beforehand, and finish it then, so it's kind of fresh on my brain, you know, and I kind of have like an ongoing story at that point, because this is going to pick up, it looks like, pretty close to after the first one left off, right?
Yeah, she's growing up a little bit. A little bit. So I would say at least a few years, maybe afterwards, or something like that. Yeah, a couple of years, 2-3 years. Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely want to finish that, and it looks impressive, man. October's stacked though, dude. Like, what else is in October? Isn't that High on Life game as well?
Yeah, well, here's October Game Pass as it stands right now. As it stands right now, this is just Game Pass. Plague Tale Requiem, October 18th. Persona 5 Royale, October 21st. Scorn, October 21st. High on Life, October 25th. Signalist, which is a freaking fantastic looking indie title. Go check that out.
That's on my list.
Yeah, October 27th. And then we're also getting that Gunfire Reborn game with those little animals that I've actually thought looked pretty cool to showcase or whatever else. We're getting that at some point in October. They don't have an exact date, but it's October 2022 as well. So that's just Game Pass for October. And that is, as you notice, that's only the second half of October. So what do they got in the first half of October? Because there's nothing in that first half that we know of as of yet.
Maybe a surprise.
But, yeah, maybe a surprise.
What big third-party games are coming out in October?
October.
That are not Game Pass.
Good question. Hold on, let me pull up handy dandy Game Informer real quick.
Game Informer's always got these goods, right?
Yeah, they're not perfect though. Yeah. Okay, so we got Overwatch 2, October 4th.
That's free to play also, right?
Yep, free to play. It's going to be on everything. Marvel's Midnight Suns, October 7th, which I still believe could come to Game Pass. I still got hope for that one.
Strauss Zelnick says no.
Yeah, but this 2K's publishing. It's not their own game though, right? So there's a chance that he would cut a deal for Midnight Suns. We'll see. We got No Man's Sky coming to Switch, whatever. Forspoken coming to PlayStation 5 and PC October 11th. Then we got WRC Generations coming to everything October 13th. We got Gotham Knights on the 25th.
That's another one I got my eyes on, man. But that would be now I'm thinking maybe less likely because of the amount of other stuff on that same week. Scorn and High on Life already, you know. And
then Modern Warfare 2 on the 28th.
And Persona 5 Royale and Plague Tale Requiem.
Modern Warfare 2, man, October 28th.
Wow. Holy shit. You know?
This is another February all over again. Like, look. Whatever you think of Overwatch 2 launching free to play on everything is going to be a big launch. It's
going to be massive.
Massive launch. And then you got Call of Duty ending the month. And then you got everything else in between. That last week. Okay, let's take from the 21st. Okay, let's start. So you got Requiem on the 18th, but then you got Royale 21st, Scorn 21st, Gotham Knights 25th, High on Life 25th, Call of Duty 28th, Resident Evil Village Winter's Expansion on the 28th. Bro, that last week is ridiculous. Last week and a half.
There's something for everybody in there too, though, man. It's like you got your, story-based kind of game with like Plague Tale Requiem. You got your JRPG coming to Game Pass with Persona 5 Royale. Turn-based also, I'll let everybody know, right? You got Scorn coming for your like survival horror fans. Yeah, Gotham Knights for your like action RPGs or superhero fans out there. You got your High on Life for your shooters and like quirky weird shit fans. You got Call of Duty coming out as well, man. And then Resident Evil Village again for more horror content. And then Humankind in November, like in the first week, just a week after that. Humankind, which is a strategy game, looks like kind of like Civilization style type game coming on everything. That's in Game Pass as well, right?
Yep, it sure is.
Wow, man. And it doesn't let up in December too, because then you got Callisto Protocol and
well, you got Harry Potter's in there too. So you got the Potters, right?
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yep. It's gonna be insane, dude. I'm trying to pinpoint like a third-party game that could be a surprise Game Pass announcement. And I've you know me, I've had my eye on Gotham Knights for like a year as being announced. It's going to come to Game Pass. And I've said that I wouldn't announce something like that until a couple weeks before release, right? Now, any big third-party game like that that's already been in the works for a long time, they're not going to go ahead and like drop that announcement early if it's like if it's a deal that's done later. And with all the talk that, hey, we were trying to fill the gap of the big holiday, not having something, we were trying to pinpoint what it could be. Now Gotham Knights releasing the same week as Scorn and High on Life, and
those are already in Game Pass.
Persona 5 Royal, and Plague Tale Requiem, all within a week of each other. I don't know, man. I don't know if that can do it anymore. Like maybe they would, but if they did, that'd be insane.
It would be.
I mean, that'd be like the biggest week of Game Pass history. This already may be the biggest week of Game Pass history, right? Like, imagine if they had Starfield coming still like 2 weeks after that. Oh my god!
Right? Can you imagine how packed we'd be? Holy cow! And look, Call of Duty with Overwatch 2 is going to be gigantic, and then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the hype surrounding that already, brother.
Yeah,
this is going to be one crazy holiday, man. Lore Master, you're right too. They got the Age of Empires has their 1 year anniversary in October, which could be the announcement of console version at some point that we've been expecting, that a lot of people were expecting during the showcase. That never happened. I mean, we got so many games. Evil West comes out in September 20th.
Oh,
so we're gonna be playing Evil West.
That last gameplay footage of that looks sick.
And now they announced that it's co-op too. What? Like, they haven't shown any co-op, but it's co-op.
Yeah. How is that going to work? It's
I don't know. But yes, Atomic Heart is coming this year as well at some point. Look, again, like I said, we could talk about the spilled milk all day long, with no first party releases from Xbox this year, whether or not it should ever happened with how many studios they have. It happened. But like I said, many, many times, and during those discussions, me as a gamer, as somebody who enjoys so many different types of games, bro, I don't even know what to do. We're going to have the Witcher 3 current gen patch coming later this fall as well.
We got
that. Yes, that's coming this year. Yes.
My God, where am I going to find the time, dude? I'm glad at this point Starfield got delayed. I'm not even joking. Like,
that's what I said.
Looking at it now, all the stuff that I want to play. If Starfield came out, I wouldn't play hardly any of it because I'd be just like now at least like whenever Starfield comes out, then you look at February, March next year, and it's the same issue, dude. Once this holiday rolls around, we are in store for a whirlwind 6 months, man.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. We thought last year was good. This year is going to be even better. Not from first party, obviously. We don't have a Halo, but we've got so much else from third parties coming. If they close this Activision Blizzard deal on top of it, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Even if they don't, it's just like,
yes, it's just so much right now.
And then imagine when that deal closes, the flood of games are going to just be dumped into Game Pass.
Correct.
Like that's going to be an enormous amount all at once. Kind of like, but when the Bethesda ZeniMax deal closed, we had 3 dumpings within 3 weeks of just games and games hitting in Game Pass, these older titles, right?
Right.
But that's Bethesda ZeniMax. Activision Blizzard's another monster when it comes to releases and the amount of releases that they've had under their belts.
Yep.
I cannot imagine the amount of games that are just going to flood into there because they are the ones that don't really do Game Pass that much.
Nope.
So you're talking about something that's been pretty absent from there. I mean, they've had some,
Yep.
But everything?
Yeah. All the crashes, Tony Hawk.
And PC?
You got all those coming in, all the PC, all the Call of Duties. Diablo 2, the remake will be available in there. Diablo 3 will be available in there for everybody who hasn't bought it yet. Look, it's going to be flooded now.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely flooded. And they could go back to the back catalog and some of the Activision games that never got backwards compatibility could come over again, right? They could have another announcement for that. Man, look, like I said, between, again, we could talk about the spilled milk all day long, but as a gamer, seriously, I just don't understand how anybody can say that they don't have anything to play because there's no first party stuff. I will never, again, if you're the person that only plays the first party stuff, the AAA stuff, then okay, I hear you. But that you guys have to be very small percentage of people. For most of us that like to play a little bit of everything, that play third party titles, this year is slammed. There's no question about it. And Game Pass, value off the charts already. And we know they're going to have some more deals to be cut and some more titles surprising us in there as well, man.
Jasper in the chat, just our good buddy, just said something too. Also, we don't know what EA and Ubisoft are doing right now because they have not announced any of their titles for this year.
Yeah, Ubisoft Plus is still coming at some point. We're gonna get some kind of back catalog from Ubi too, man.
Yeah. Need for Speed was supposed to be fairly close, so we don't know anything about that. What the hell's going on? You know, like, it's insane. Skull and Bones, Heartland. I don't know, man.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Bro. No, again, it's like, bruh, look, we're all have to go on unemployment. We're just gonna have to play games full time.
So, and I mean, it's fair to say that this whirlwind wave kicks off in like September, kind of, right? September is pretty interesting in and of itself. You got Evil West, you got Dark Tide. For PlayStation users, the big title this year, Last of Us Part 1, again, remake, remastered edition, remake 1 again, whatever, remake. Then you got a Golem, something called Lego Brawls. I don't even know what that is.
It's like a battle royale Lego game. I think I saw some kind of trailer on it.
Switch users get Splatoon 3. So, I mean, it's not like lighting the world on fire in September, but you got plenty of stuff to play. And then once October hits, it's like, especially mid-October, up until November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June to next year. Because we've had like a pretty, I wouldn't say it's been a drought because I have not run out of anything to play, but there's been definitely hasn't been big, massive titles releasing a lot this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've had Elden Ring, and we've had Dying Light 2.
Yep.
And we've had a couple other Tiny Tina's and stuff sprinkled in there, right? But there hasn't been an onslaught of big time games this year. Sony had Horizon Forbidden West,
correct? GT
and Gran Turismo. Those are probably two of the biggest games released this year, right? So
outside of Elden Ring, outside of Elden Ring,
outside of Elden
Ring. Dying Light 2 did.
There's been around 5 big games this year so far.
Yeah.
Right. But look at this, for next year, even on Game Pass alone for Xbox, when you got Starfield, Redfall, and Forza Motorsport, and then you also have potentially, if the deal gets closed in time, Diablo 4 as well, and then everything else that they mentioned. Dude, it's going to be an amazing year. Later this year, also God of War Ragnarok should potentially be hitting. Forspoken as well.
I was going to bring that up.
It's going to be stuff.
You got Final Fantasy 16 for Sony next year. You got, again, wherever you're playing at, again, that's why I always say it's the golden age of game.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what, wherever you're playing at, you're getting the best of the best right now. Nintendo's going to be on fire next year. They've had a great year so far this year. It's nonstop. Wherever you're playing at, it's nonstop. And if you own more than one console, look, man, I feel sorry for you, bro, because you got more. You got more than you know what to do with right now. And it's just crazy.
I'm trying to accumulate things for my Steam Deck now too, because machine,
you got Steam Deck too. That's right.
That machine is actually really impressive, and I don't usually go for handheld gaming, but man, dude, I was playing Metal Gear Solid 5 on it and just testing the kind of the graphics of it. You know what I mean? For something that's okay, this is not the best looking game out there, but for the time that it released was pretty up there, and man, it looks great on that screen, dude. So
off top, but have you docked it yet or hooked it up to the TV yet?
No, not yet.
Tried?
No.
Okay. You gotta let me know as soon as you do that, because that's what I'm curious about.
Right. I don't even know how, be honest with you.
Okay.
I got to look up a video. I mean, I'm sure I just get a mini, I think it's got a mini HDMI on it.
Is that what it's got?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, either that or you can buy the dock. You can buy any dock too. You don't have to have a Steam Deck dock. You can use any kind of dock. as well. So
like I don't know if this is a storage port or if this is like a mini HDMI down here.
Okay.
Or
okay.
But it only has a USB-C on the top.
Right.
And it's got this slit right here.
Yep.
That I don't know what that one is. I need to look at the instructions. This
yeah,
may
you gotta
be,
look at the instructions. So
maybe a mini HDMI. Somebody that knows how to dock it, let me know, you know, and I will try and dock this baby. But what I am going to do next is, thanks to Fuzzy for sharing this in the DMs. He had a step-by-step on Xbox's website now of getting Game Pass working on it. It's not like a simple process, right?
Right.
I actually am going to, and you don't have to hook up a keyboard and mouse support, but I had attempted to do this without using keyboard and mouse with just the on-screen keyboard, which I will say, like, my one biggest complaint with the Steam Deck, there needs to be a dedicated mouse button just to hit that and bring up the on-screen keyboard, because in order to bring up the keyboard, you have to hit Steam button and X at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
And it's just kind of dumb and like unintuitive to have to hit two buttons at the same time to bring up an on-screen keyboard. But what it's also not the best experience to use that on-screen keyboard, I'll say as well. So what I have read is that it's way better if you hook up a mouse and keyboard to it to implement the stuff you need to do to get Game Pass working on it. Now, they were step-by-step instructions that look easy with pictures and everything, which is exactly what I needed, because of the other instructions I tried to follow. Things weren't matching up to what they were saying, but the pictures make it easy. So I'm going to follow the step-by-step instructions with the pictures. I'm going to get Game Pass running on the Steam Deck next, and I can't wait for that, dude. But I'm going to do that actually probably tonight. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, no, for sure, because I want to hear about that. For sure. Hey, shout out to a couple people that showed up in here. It's Timmy. Good to see you. Soul Khan, always great to see you as well. Polly Baba, great to see you, my friend. Thank you for being in here. Shizno Elite, always, brother. Always great to have you in the chat. Thank you so much for showing up as well and saying hi. Alex is a Valve. Always appreciate you dropping in here. Roshan Eppinger, thank you for dropping in here, man. Again, we got so many great people. Hey, business side of things, if you have not yet hit the like button, please take a millisecond of your time and go ahead and click that thumbs up. And if you feel so inclined, you can share it out. It does help us. I appreciate you all. Both Mav and I do. It helps Mav's channel continue his absolutely monumental growth over the past year. It's been ridiculous what Mav's been doing over here, all well deserved, but you guys can help out. So thank you for that. But we appreciate you guys for being here. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. So Mav, like you said, I'm going to bring this up real quick. So, hey, the Snitch, Mav, becoming a highly popular account right now. The Snitch showed up on the scene back in May. It started dropping knowledge.
The Snitch.
For anybody who doesn't know, listen, we all know how this goes, right? The insiders are few and far between. The people with actual real knowledge of what's happening behind the scenes in the gaming industry. Look, it's at best, we've got some really good ones. We got the Grubs, we got the Jez Gordons of the world, who get actual information, who know what they're talking about, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? But we've had a lot of people, especially on the PlayStation side. Look, there is no PlayStation Insider. However, the Snitch has showed up on the scene May 2022 on on Twitter. For anybody who wants to follow, it's at insider_WTF. Okay. The Snitch showed up and has been, so far, had a freaking ridiculous track record with the stuff that they've put out so far. And came back today, Mav, and put up a God of War gif. Okay. Mm-hmm. Put up a little Kratos gif, and then had flashing across the bottom 1 1 1 1 0. All right, so everybody started guessing. Oh my God, is this the 11/11 date that we've all been saying would be absolutely hilarious to see the petty Sony take that shot? I'd love to see if it's going to happen. And then some people are like, but what's the 0? That doesn't make any sense. Well, actually, I kind of figured it out right away, and then I went and obviously read the posts underneath, and other people figured it out. It's binary code. So 11110, and if you do binary code, that math wise comes out to 30. So the best assumption here is that they are talking that they are going to have a state of play as expected at the end of this month, June 30th, which is a Thursday, which is what Sony does. Sony usually does their state of plays on Thursdays. So it would make sense, and that's when we finally get the God of War showing and the God of War release date. So Mav, kind of want to talk about this a little bit here. Sony, the position they're in, we already know they don't do showcases anymore. They already came out and said they're not going to be at Gamescom at all this year. They had the state of play prior to the Summer Games Fest this year, the E3, not E3 week. They had their state of play there, showed off third-party titles, which was fantastic. We all enjoyed the show because a lot of those games are coming to Xbox. For us Xbox-only players, of course, Mav's got PlayStation 5 as well, so he can play anywhere. But for us that are only on Xbox, it was a great show because we got to see a lot of cool stuff there. But Sony going forward this year, strategy-wise, Mav, with Starfield, Redfall being delayed and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we know the Xbox side of things, what they're doing. We just got them talking about at Game Pass, and it's already looking pretty loaded for the second half of this year from what we know of. Sony going into the end of this year, the second half into the holidays, like you just mentioned, they had Horizon Forbidden West. They had Gran Turismo. They are expected to have Forspoken in October. And then it comes to God of War. And this has kind of been up for debate. A lot of people thought it was going to be pushed to 2023. Some of us believed it was all hands on deck, that it was going to make 2022 to bookend the year. It's not normal for Sony to have big first party titles at the end of the year, but strategy wise, Mav, state of play June 30th. Let's just assume it's that, and let's assume that God of War is going to be there. Are you still on the 2022 train, Mav? And what do you think going forward? Do you think this is the only thing that we see from Sony, or do you think they have an actual bigger showcase to sell us hopes and dreams later this year? What do you think, brother?
I am on 2022 train for God of War. I've been saying that for a long time. I lost a little faith in the middle there, like maybe like a month ago, but I got back on it pretty quickly. I think it's gonna happen, man. I mean, it's been in the works a long time. You had the big delays. It's supposed to be a game that came out like 2020. I don't foresee potentially any reason why it would move out of this year. They haven't hinted at it like they did with Horizon Forbidden West as well, when they kind of had articles like, "Oh, we feel confident," you know what I mean? But so they haven't even really talked about that too much, It'll be interesting. I do believe that that's what the thing means after reading a lot of people's comments, from the snitch. I think that he's hinting at the 30th, right? Which was already something that had been rumored previously. That's why I'm kind of adding to that. I think that based on previous rumors that they may be another state of play at the end of June, plus that, it kind of adds up. You know what I mean? And also it would add up to, hey, that would make sense to feature their big first party game this year would be God of War. I don't think there's going to be any other surprises for this year from Sony. They're pretty much known to release their big titles, like tease them way ahead of time. You know what I mean? And promote the crap out of them for a few years, right?
Yep.
So I don't foresee any other big surprises from them. Forspoken is a exclusive, timed exclusive at least, whatever, for them for the time being, and that'll be a pretty big release as well. You have Stray coming as well, which is going to be a PS Plus extra day one game. I'm going to try that out. Besides that, maybe what I could foresee is some surprises with some of the PS Plus extra tier editions towards the end of the year.
Yes.
When they start, maybe Stray was the first day one type game like that. There could potentially be more smaller games that could get day one, or third party games as well. I don't foresee that happening with Sony games for a while, but yeah, I'm thinking 2022. I'm thinking that's what this is, and I'm thinking that they're gonna show gameplay, like straight up gameplay. Like, here's a segment of God of War Ragnarok, because that's what they did for Horizon Forbidden West. That's what they did for Ratchet and Clank. That's just kind of following their model now of what they do. And they're going to just start us off, and they're going to take us through probably about like 10-15 minutes of gameplay, maybe with like fast forwarding segments, so not to ruin the story aspects and stuff, and then drop the release date at the end, right? And
they go November, Mav? Do you think we just talked about October being stacked, right? Not that Sony cares. Sony's never really cared. Like God of War Ragnarok is a beast on its own. But with Overwatch 2 starting the month, with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 ending the month, do you think they stack God of War in there? Do you think they do the November and potentially 11 date? What do you think?
When did God of War 2018 come out?
Ooh,
was
good question.
What month?
I thought it wasn't it springtime?
April. Yeah.
April. Yes. Yep.
Oh man, it's like I want to say November because of like the holiday thing, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say sometime in September.
Okay, that would make sense too if they can get it out by then. Sure, if that's ready. Yeah,
I think if it's not ready, they would do November, but I think they would want to be September.
Yep.
That just fits kind of their MO. I don't know why they don't do like a bunch of big November releases like most companies do. Maybe because the PlayStation's been such a big multi-platform third-party machine, and Call of Duty was kind of a big marketing thing for them as well and stuff like that. They kind of wanted to get out of some of the way there. So that could potentially change with their focus now that they don't have Call of Duty anymore with the marketing and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they would be like, hey, let's drop it on the same day as that, or even like in November, right? Like, I think the end of October right now is currently stacked.
Yeah.
November looks like you got some room in there if they did want to hit November. I think it would either, if I was to make a bet, I would say sometime between sometime in September to early October, like before the 15th.
Right.
And then if it doesn't hit in that gap, then I'm going to say November, mid-November sometime.
Okay. Yep.
Like I'm giving myself two chances, but if I was, I'm 75% on the first one, it being the earlier, and then I'll say that the 25% of me says they could potentially go November, right?
Right.
But we'll see, man. What are you thinking?
Well, again, I've got it all laid out in my head, right, Mav? I always create these scenarios in my head, what I would do if I was Jim or what I would do if I was Phil, right? And I like the tit for tat, and I miss it. I miss that we don't have the E3s back to back. With that battle, and I come from I come from all the way back in the day, so I went through the generation of Sega versus Nintendo and that kind of stuff. And I'm not into the console war nonsense like the garbage that's out here, but when corporations play chess moves and they have a little fun with each other, I'm always about it. So I think this is a November launch, and I do think, well, again, it's partially just my hope and wish that they do 11/11/22 just to be the old petty Sony, because I do, like I said, I think it's good for Xbox to take a gut punch every once in a while. So I got it all planned out in my head. I'll give you a little scenario. I do these stories every once in a while. Corey Barlog or whoever's going to be out there on State of Play, as they go through and they show off God of War Ragnarok and they get to the end and they haven't showed a release date yet. And let's just say it's Corey. And Corey comes out on camera and he says, look, I know the big question is, when do you get to play God of War Ragnarok? You guys have been so patient. We know that's the big question. And I'm here to tell you, listen, we know that a lot of you already had taken 11/11/22 off for something else. And we're all disappointed that that's not happening, but we're going to make this easy on you. Keep your day off and enjoy God of War Ragnarok, because that's right, it's coming November 11th, 2022. I think it would be freaking fantastic. Big old smile on his face as he does it. I think it would be awesome. I do think November is the perfect spot for God of War. I could see if it's ready, Mav, like you said, coming out early September. I could definitely see that type of release, but I think they're going to capitalize on the holiday. I think that they're also going to hope that the extra months allows for them to get their production up, so they have more PS5s available as well. So I definitely think that they might push it till November. I could even see the beginning of December, but I really think November's a sweet spot in there. And I think that that's when it launches. I'm really on board with that. Again, a little bit of is my hope too, just because I want to see it happen because I think it would be hilarious. But I think that's the spot. And I think it's a solid spot for them. A couple weeks after Modern Warfare 2 drops, people have been playing Modern Warfare 2 nonstop, especially on the PS5 side of things, because Call of Duty's giant over on PS5, so that'll be perfect. And then God of War Ragnarok comes along a couple weeks later, gives people a break. I think it's going to be massive no matter where it drops. Obviously, it's its own kind of beast, especially if it shows off and people are happy with it, and it doesn't have some of the buggy issues that like Horizon did. I think this goes big, and I think it goes big over the holidays. And then Sony hopes that they have consoles in stock come Black Friday, and going forward into Christmas. And they'll have God of War Ragnarok right there with it, ready to sell 1 for 1 every buy, just kind of like Spider-Man does. Everybody goes and buys PS5 is going to pick up the bundle with either Horizon or Spider-Man, and then right there is their purchase of God of War. It's like the perfect 1-2 punch, right? So I think that's a sweet spot for Sony, and that's what I hope to see. And I think on top of this, they'll probably give us a final look at Forspoken, hopefully to answer some of the questions that have been out there. I know tons of people who have not been impressed with Forspoken. I personally like what I've seen out of Forspoken. I see some people's complaints about the world looking empty and that kind of stuff, but man, do the special powers and stuff look great. So maybe they give us one final look at Forspoken, kind of push that as they are known to do, because that release is coming soon as well. And then, like you said, Stray, that kind of stuff. They're going to probably start using these state of plays to start making announcements of games coming into, the PlayStation Plus subscription model. Some of their older games that they pulled. What did they pull, man? They pulled like 200 games, didn't they? I think initially from the list.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I talked about in the past, Sony's going to pull the Nintendo here.
Yeah.
And they're going to sell this service by releasing big old titles sporadically throughout the year, right? They're going to have dumps of big to try to keep people invested while they get more third-party support for it, while they get their first parties ramped up. They're just going to use those old nostalgic games. They're not going to give them to you all up front. They're going to release the big ones and be a big celebration.
Trying that service too. Like, I wanted to,
how's it been?
I wanted to experience it to see, what it's all about. You know what I mean? So, this is like launch, right? This is the launch of the new service. So, it could be completely different in a year from now, right? For me, I've already been invested into PlayStation's ecosystem, it holds no value, right? Because I'm assuming if you're a big time PlayStation user, you probably bought in these big first party games, right?
Yeah.
For me, I haven't had a PlayStation for a long time, and I'm diving back in, and I'm not one to want to spend $70 on a lot of different games anyway, right? Yep. So for me right now, I'm using it to play catch up, right? I try and Returnal, which I do like. Death Stranding Director's Cut, which I'm actually enjoying a little bit, right? Like, it's a surprise, right? It's a very chill vibe.
That's cool, man. You're actually trying it out. I'm happy for you, man.
I like it.
It's such a good looking game.
Oh, the freaking graphics on that thing are mind blowing, dude.
Like, every time I see screenshots or video, bro, I'm like, look, I get why people don't like it or why the complaints are out there, but man, that would be a game that I definitely try if I had a PS5, because man, those graphics are
it's definitely got Kojima stamps all over it, man. And I dig that quirky kind of weird stuff. I'm enjoying my time with that so far. I'm not super deep into it. Like, I'm pretty early on. I do like Returnal, super fast gunplay.
It's another one I'd play.
I'm into that. I did try the trial as well. So I did a trial for Horizon Forbidden West, and I confirmed that game for me is very boring, just like the first one. So it's not for me. And now it's just my opinion that it's boring. Like, some other people are going to find it, wow, it's an impressive game. I love the first one. Right. I love the first if you love the first one, you will love this one. Right. It takes a lot of cues from other games that I've done a lot of times before, and with just not as an interesting way for me. So I'm kind of like, okay, it is what it is. For me, it's like playing a game to play a game. right? It just doesn't grab me, like the other ones have so far. I tried the PlayStation Classic stuff as well, right? So I tried playing Siphon Filter. That was not a good experience.
I've heard the experiences because it's still is not okay.
I can't control that thing for shit with that controller. Right. I can't walk in a straight line. I can't it feels so weird, dude. And I don't know what they can do to correct that. Now that's not necessarily for every game, right? I think some games will probably hold that better. I think the more simplistic controls will work better for some games, right? I played Resident Evil as well. Now that game always had a clunky ass control, so it felt familiar. Like I was like, okay, I remember having the same trouble back then that I'm doing now, and it's something you get used to as you play, right?
Yep.
With those classic tank controls. But that was a good experience. I'll say the Resident Evil was cool. And then I tried Rogue Galaxy, which was already a PS4 port of the original PS2 game.
Excellent game.
Fucking loved Rogue Galaxy when it came out. That holds up. It does. That's why for me it'd be worth playing. But that was a PS4 port already, and they didn't do like a lot of work on it or anything like that. It's you're playing the original game pretty much. You know what I mean? But it does still hold up. But I question my how much worth it would be for me if I had already played Returnal, Death Stranding. You know what I mean? These other games that are in there, like I wouldn't pay for the service just to play the old stuff.
Yeah.
And without knowing a pipeline of new stuff coming to the service, it makes me lose interest in the long haul.
Right.
But for right now, it holds a lot of value because I am playing catch up and I can play these games I didn't want to spend $70 for a year ago, 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I think eventually, once they get the pipeline going better, it may be worth it. But I'm not going to continue the subscription after this 3 months because I upgraded my 3 month that I'd already had. So I'm going to nix it at that point. And well, maybe when Stray comes out, they would be like, okay, I can play Stray for cheaper if I do it that way, right? So maybe I'll re-up then, and if another third-party game comes out or something, then I'll re-up. But right now, it holds no value long term for me. I would rather long term just be a PS Plus Essentials user and get the free games that go into there, right? Yep. But there's potential. There's potential there. I think they got a decent start, but they need the day ones, right? Because the Returnal is 14 months old, right? That's the newest game that was in there.
Yes.
So I
think
can't
they're
imagine.
going to continue to add, right? They're going to continue to add. So
I'm wondering, is it going to be a year? You think, like 1 year, they're going to release them into that service?
Yeah, I think certain games will be 6 months, and then other games will take a year. But I think they're going to be that EA Play kind of dumping ground. How their releases go. I think it makes sense to start out until they get the games as a service up and running. Mm-hmm. As soon as they get the games as a service up and running, and they find some wins in there, however many it turns out to be, and they get that again, it's all a process for Jim in converting the board of Sony over to this whole new outlook. And I think that once that happens, then you see it get even closer, and eventually it'll first go to PC day and date, and then it'll go to PS Plus Premium. And some of it will have to do too with retention on that service. If they start seeing the numbers drop like PS Now did, if they start losing subscribers, that could also push them to start dropping things quicker as well.
Or abandon the model.
Right. Or abandon the model.
Right. Or then we tried, it didn't work. Oh, well, we don't know.
I think Jim knows it's the future. Yeah, I think Jim knows it's the future, though. Yeah. I really do. I think he gets it that they need that model in order to start competing, because they need that stream of revenue. Again, people don't understand. You can do all the math you want to, and you can try to convince people that, 10 million, 15 million people buying a $70 game is more valuable in some form or fashion than a constant monthly revenue stream is. No way. If you do the math and you count in inflation, and you count in interest, and you count in waiting 3 to 5 years for that game to be done before you get those sales, and then before you get the initial sales, and then waiting another 2 years to hit that number outside of a couple, right? Spider-Man's and God of War's excluded. Outside of those, the normal game that takes that long to sell that many is another 2 to 3 years down the road. Finally, you hit those numbers. That revenue stream is so much more valuable. It's not even funny. Once you start getting into the 20, the 15, 20 million people range, and then beyond that, it's all gravy. And that's why Jim sees that as the future. That's the way they've got to go. So,
and they will. They're just behind, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're
taking their first steps. It's almost like Game Pass when it started. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I'll say this: the navigation and the browsing of it is way more impressive than PS Now was, and just the way it's presented to the user. Yeah. Like, it seems like, wow, this is like a lot of stuff here, and it's well worth it to look through this, and there's lots of stuff. It comes across to the user way better. Right. But then when you just break down old versus new, it's just all old, right? So
correct.
That's where it is, and they'll get better eventually with that, I think. But what else we got, Pong Soul?
Roshan Epiger, you're correct. Exactly. This has all been laid out in other areas. Microsoft already, they said Microsoft already proved that a subscription is better with their Office products. So did Adobe. Why does anybody think that games are any different?
Well, also, it's not. Music and TV,
music,
and
all
the
movies
that kind of are all going to that model too. It's just it's just the way it is. Why would gaming be any different than everything else, right? And honestly, for me as a consumer, these subscription services save a lot of money depending on where I choose to spend it at. Like,
correct.
You pick and choose what services you want to be based on how dependent you are on them, or how much money it saves you. Now, the trick is that Microsoft actually figured out a way to get people to spend more money by using subscriptions on Office products, because what used to be one-offs or free codes you could get all the time, now they're charging $100 a year and easy, and you're getting lots of people to subscribe to that, right?
Yep.
Which before you could buy a license for $100 and you could use that thing for like 5 years, probably easy, without having to upgrade. So they've managed to make it work for even that kind of stuff. Right. But I think that's because it's like they got a monopoly on that industry almost.
Well, of courst, that helps.
They can kind of do
that helps,
but they don't have that with gaming, and they're not going to. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to say, okay, we're going to charge $100 a month now, and this is the only way to access the games, right? Like, it's not. They don't have that. Now you're going to be able to buy the games, or you can subscribe to the games, and it's more comparative to music and movies in the way that you're subscribing for the content. But the interesting way is where it differentiates itself from other services is in the ability to actually pay for them and buy them as well. I would almost like say the Prime Video is like almost the closest thing to it, because you can buy the movies, or you can rent them through there. I don't know if you get discounts on buying movies with Prime. I don't believe you do. So that's even another incentive that Microsoft gives you. But that's the closest thing I can think of right now, service wise. But it's still,
and there's no microtransaction with movies. So again, monetization within the games themselves. As soon as Sony flips that switch, which they're doing now, and they're getting their first party titles ready to start having that monetization in there, that's really when the money starts flowing in. Whether people like it or not, it's huge. And that's the thing that they were lacking. And that's why they did all this investing in all these companies, including Bungie, in order to make that happen. And let me tell you, next Last of Us that comes out is going to have monetization in it, right? The next Spider-Man that comes out, Spider-Man 2, is going to have monetization in it. I can almost guarantee you, in some form or fashion. They also are probably going to start seeing more games, not just their games as a service, but more of their future titles. Not all of them, but more of their future titles will also have some type of multiplayer aspect to it, or more DLC to keep people engaged in that ecosystem for longer periods of time. And that's the key goal. And that's the thing that Microsoft has always had the advantage in, because their games were already set up like that. They were known as the multiplayer box forever. So they already had that built in. And that's another key to a subscription model, is making sure that people stay in the system, not jump in, jump out like Netflix is having. Netflix was in its prime when they had constant flow of content that people wanted. But as soon as people figured out the whole deal, as soon as people got figured out the subscriptions, and all of a sudden they knew they could jump in, binge watch their favorite show, and then jump out of that subscription service. Now that people have been trained in that manner, now you got to think of it in a totally different way. So that's what Sony's problem is going to be, because most of their games, people would just jump in. If it all was based on was that next single player game coming out, it was a Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, whatever the case may be, people just jump in, jump out, and just wait for the next big AAA. Jump in for a month, jump out after they beat it, right? That's exactly what people start doing. That's the problem that Sony has to work around, and that's what they're doing right now, is changing that whole structure internally with their first-party studios to make sure that they have those types of mechanics built into their games, the options built in their games to keep people engaged. So it's a big transition for them, but they are making it, and we're going to see it. So nice job there, man. Again, that turned into a much bigger topic. I love it.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, what do you want to go to, Mav? You can pick the last. I mean, we got a bunch of different things we could jump into. We're already over 2 hours. Where do you want to go next? What do you want to do, man?
I wanted to just talk about Hyena real quick.
Yeah, Hyenas. Yeah, that was kind of on my list here. Maybe some people missed this. So I'll give you guys a brief breakdown here. Today, Hyenas was announced. Sega put out a little teaser through IGN yesterday with some weird sounds. People were guessing that it was Echo, the dolphin, coming back, which I said there was a 0 chance of that happening. I would love it if it did, because it looked gorgeous nowadays. But they put out this weird little clip of noise, and it was really alien-like. And then some people came out and said, no, this is probably the Creative Assembly game that has been being worked on for a long time. And sure enough, that's what it was. So today, Sega announced Hyenas from Creative Assembly, a new multiplayer shooter. And I'll give you a little lowdown for all you guys who may not have heard about it or kind of want an idea of what it's going to be. This is going to come from shacknews.com, by the way. And they're signing up for alpha test that's live right now if you're interested in signing up for it. So Alien Isolation developer Creative Assembly has a brand new multiplayer shooter in the works, as was announced today by Sega. The game Hyenas is described as an ambitious multi-platform challenger in the shooter space. You got a lot of competition in that space, Sega. Whoo, good luck. In the game, you and 3 others will work together as a team to loot and plunder stolen pop culture merchandise the rich have swiped from the remnants of Earth, all the while fighting against 4 other similar crews, all looking to do the same things. In Hyenas, the world is broken, literally. The billionaires have finally made it to Mars, leaving Earth and those tax bills far behind. Shout out to Elon Musk. The zero gravity tech that powered their journey has shattered our planet, abandoning us in a drifting slum called the Taint. My God, could you get any more just dystopian? Just this is unbelievable. This is like the most depressing thing I've ever heard. The only thing the rich care for is rare merch, pop culture swag from the lives we left behind. Well, we didn't leave anything behind. The billionaires left behind, which they loot from the rubble to furnish their Martian mansions. My God, this is so dystopian. It's not even funny. Shooting is only one part of the game, with a myriad of other factors to keep in mind. Mentioned in the press release included switchable zero-G zones and security networks. It goes on to say, time for us to steal it back. Lumbering spaceship shopping malls known as plunder ships are plump with nostalgic booty stolen from Earth's remains. Who wrote this? And packed with the sort of hired thugs, alarm systems, and armed drones only the hyper-rich can afford. Assemble your crew of hyenas from a ragtag cast of uniquely skilled and armed criminal misfits to get in get the merch, and get the hell out. It's space piracy, smash and grab with your team of 3 fighting against 4 other crews to nab the spiciest haul and grab the getaway. You'll need both guns and guile. Each plunder ship is a sandbox playground of interlocking systems, creating endless opportunities for slick teams to exploit the environment, security networks, hired goons, and competing crews to gain an edge. And when it all kicks off, blisteringly quick movement and lethal combat combine in hazardous and often switchable zero-G zones, providing dramatic opportunities for you to master your environment, to trap and eliminate other crews. The article goes on to say, if that sounds appealing to you and you want to give Hyenas a go, you can sign up starting today for the alpha test on PC. Not only is the opportunity an exciting one, the alpha test is hugely important to Creative Assembly team, as they are actively seeking player feedback in order to help make the game as fun and as enticing as possible. Creative Assembly went on to say, quote, "We believe the key to modern shooter success is understanding what players want to see and where they want to take their experience," said executive producer David Nicholson in the press release for Hyenas. Quote, we know we've got something interesting on our hands, but we also know the odds are stacked against us. Yeah, good. That's great. To take on the biggest games in the industry, we need to hear what players think right up front and early. If you are in, we want to take you along for the ride. That's why after today's announcement, we're also launching the first of our public alpha tests. Finally, it finishes out. The article finishes out. Hyenas is currently expected to release sometime in 2023. While that's still a ways away, you can sign up right now for the alpha test on PC, as previously mentioned. If you want to get an early look at what the game is all about, when the game is released, it will be available across a multitude of platforms, including Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, PS4, PS5, and PC. Mav, I watched the video on this. Here's what I will say. We make fun of these games because it's such a highly competitive area now to come into multiplayer. What I will say about this game, wasn't too keen on the characters. That's a generational gap thing, because they are younger characters who take on that Gen Z type look and appearance and talking and all that kind of stuff. But this is not just PvP. This is PvP VE, right? So you've got everything here. You're going to not only be fighting other crews, you're going to be fighting other, actual NPCs, and obviously environmental hazards are also going to be a part of this. And there's going to be mechanics involved with zero-G stuff and what you can do versus the other crews, versus the NPCs, versus the AI. Listen, they do have some uniqueness to this game from what I saw today. Some quick shots, quick glimpses of what maybe the gameplay is going to look like. What were your thoughts, brother? What did you think about when you first saw Hyenas?
It looks interesting. I don't know what the hell it is still. That's the biggest takeaway. I mean, it looks like it's like a multiplayer 3 versus 3 versus 3 versus 3, like smash and grab.
It's 4 players, so it's you and 3 others.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's fun. My main takeaway of this is, man, this is different for Sega. I mean,
yeah.
Sega doesn't,
and Creative Assembly
and Creative Assembly, especially Creative Assembly. Yeah. But like Sega really dipping their toes into new territory here, trying to go big with this. You know what I mean? They're going more for like mainstream type multiplayer shooter stuff here. That's not something they've really been going after. They've been, they got your Sonic stuff, you got their, your RTSs, you know what I mean? You got all these different things that they doing, but this is them really taking a different approach, and it's really interesting. I think Creative Assembly is not a team that anybody should take should kind of side eye. I mean, they are very talented, right? An extremely talented team. Back when everybody was talking about, like, who do you want Xbox to acquire? All these different things. I said Sega because you get Creative Assembly.
Correct. 100.
That's what I wanted. And everybody's like, what do you get with Sega? You get Sonic, you get like, oh, they don't really have any developers. Wrong. They have a lot of developers there that people aren't really thinking about, right? Creative Assembly is one of those. Now, they're also very multifaceted and talented because they've also stepped outside of their normal genres and done other things like Alien. What was the name of that Alien? Alien Isolation, right?
Yep. Alien Isolation.
Alien Isolation. They've done. Guess who developed Halo Wars, guys? Creative Assembly.
Halo Wars 3, please, Creative Assembly.
Yes. So Creative Assembly is no slouch. You know, like I would not be surprised if this thing is not a massive success because I believe they're going to have Sega's full support on this thing. Yeah. Because this is, I think, from what I'm seeing, this is Sega's big attempt here to dive into a new territory, right? Now, is the game screaming like, oh my God, I must play it right now? I mean, none of those kind of games scream that to me when they're first announced. Right. You know what I mean? And they're always something like, okay, I got to try it. But these things have a chance to take off and become massive. And we'll see if they nail this. They have a chance here, I think. It's very interesting and different than a lot of the other big time games that are out there. It's almost like, it almost sounds like Payday in space.
Correct.
Right?
It does in a way. Correct.
You know? And I think it's got some potential, man. Like, I wouldn't bet against Creative Assembly, like, at all. You know, have they done stuff like this before? No. Not that I can think of. But being that how talented they are and how varied they've been and the kind of stuff that they have made, I wouldn't pull it past them to nail this. It's something I'm going to have to play. Did they announce consoles on this as well? Or
yes,
is it just PC?
Yes, that's what I said. Not okay. The alpha is only PC.
Right. The alpha was PC only.
But when it launches, it's gonna be cross-gen and everything. So it's gonna Xbox One, right? Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Yep.
And what is the expected release date again? I missed
2023, some point.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Did they say free to play or is it gonna be?
They did not mention that in the article. Okay. I know you don't know.
If this is not, well, I was reading and stuff. I was actually also looking at reading the IGN's breakdown.
No. But I know how you do. You can't do more than one thing at a time. I get it. Caitlin will back me up.
This will not have much of a chance of being ultra successful unless it's free to play.
I would assume it's going to be free to play.
Right. I mean, that's just the way it is with multiplayer games these days, right? Big time multiplayer titles that you're coming, especially new IP like this. It's like, this sounds like a free to play thing to me all the way.
Yes.
Yeah. It's on my radar now. Yeah. You know. The other one that I still want to hear more about is Arc Raiders.
Yes.
From a different team,
which has disappeared again. That was supposed to be this year.
Yeah.
I think that's pushing to 2023.
I think so too, because it has been absolutely absent. I was expecting to see it at the PC Game Show, Future Game Show.
Yep.
You know, one of those type situations, and it was completely absent. That's from former Battlefield devs, and they're making a free-to-play space type multiplayer cooperative style game, and it looks up our alley a lot.
It's amazing.
So we got it on our radar, but it is no new info as of yet. No, this one's on my radar, and but speaking of, before we leave this. Hyenas, is it look? You said this doesn't really grab you 100%, but like, is it? Well, would you give it a try at least? Or?
Yeah. The characters didn't grab me, right? Again, the fake edginess that Gen Z. Yeah, look, again, it's generational for me. It's just that's why Saints Row doesn't do anything for me because of the characters. But outside of that, the mechanics, being that it's PvP VE as well. The unique stuff that they do have with the 0G spaces, they're talking about trapping, of course, looting stuff and trying to get out of there. Like you said, it sounds like other games. We got Contraband that's coming. That's the same type of thing as well, right? But I think that they do have a unique spin here. And shout out to Sega for trying. Again, Sega, whether or not any of this stuff hits, the one thing I will say as a Sega fanboy, again, I'm just so happy to see Sega trying things again. Again, I don't want them to turn into Ubisoft and trying to go for the gold all the time and not doing what they do best. I want them to bring back other IP as well. And we've heard that they're going to attempt to do that. We'll see how that turns out. But for them to come out and to have one of their teams in Creative Assembly, who, like you said, is more known on the strategy RTS side, but did create an amazing experience for a lot of people in Alien Isolation outside of their normal realm. For them to be going to this route and trying to do something, hey man, go for it. I'm all for it. That means Sega again is starting to gain confidence. And that's what I always wanted to see. Again, we saw Capcom almost disappear because they had lost all confidence. They didn't know what to do. They had fumbled their Resident Evil franchise, but you know what they did? They went back to the drawing board. They did some things right, and they came back full of confidence. And we've seen what that's done for Capcom. Now Capcom is back on top. I want to see the same thing for Sega. Now Sega's gone a different route with this. They, divested themselves of the pachinko and all that kind of stuff. They kind of separated all that out from Sammy, right? And they got back to what they do best. Now, they didn't necessarily do it in gaming per se, although they've had some wins. Obviously, Warhammer's doing very well for them. They've had success in the PC field, but they actually got success and got a little confidence from the Sonic movies of all places, right? They had really great reviews and people loved the Sonic movies, and it kind of woke them up all of a sudden, and it seemed to say, okay, we can do this, guys. Now we got Sonic Frontiers, which again has come back to mixed reviews according to what they've shown so far. Not everybody's been happy with it, but they're trying to do this. They got this confidence. So to see Hyenas come out of nowhere from Creative Assembly, be something different, even if it is in a very crowded, highly competitive space, I'm happy for Sega. And you know what? I will sit down and try it again, especially if it's free to play. Of course, I'm going to give it a try. It's not a battle royale. There's going to be strategy involved here. And now that I have all these amazing people, including yourself out here that I play games with, that we can team up and we can go in and have a good time trying it out. Hell yeah. Again, we didn't expect anything out of Rainbow Six Extraction. What happened? You, me, Steel, we wound up playing for a lot of Rainbow Six Extraction in the beginning, right? Because hey, it was a good time. It was a good time hanging out with buddies and playing. So I think this has potential. I hope it works out for Sega and for Creative Assembly, because I want to see them find success and they could lead to bigger things from Sega down the road. So, hey, I'm all about it. Outside of the characters, whatever, it is what it is. I'm going to try this game for sure, because I definitely want to see what they got cooking.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure, man.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly, Shizno. I love seeing studios try new things. I freaking love change. Hey, Shizno, I'm a Gemini through and through, so I have both sides to me. I like the nostalgia. I like the old stuff. I like I want to see more old stuff come back, but I also do like to see new things come out of these older companies that have only done certain things for a long time, right? I love to see talent and creativeness come out of these, and I'm all about it. So definitely for that as well. So yeah, I'm down. Hyenas, let's go. 2023, not stacked enough, Mav. We don't have enough games to play in 2023.
Yeah,
but heaven forbid it does launch
on everything too.
Yeah, I mean? I'm happy it's on everything, but heaven forbid it launches around Starfield time, because then you can forget it. You're not going to see it. Okay, so
you're not going to just get hooked into Hyenas and forget about Starfield.
No, that's not
okay.
Happen. That's nope.
The weird thing with me is sometimes I get I'll try one of these multiplayer games and I'll get sucked into it for months. You know what I mean? Like it happened with Apex Legends. Like when it launched right away, I didn't hardly play anything else for like 2 or 3 months. You know, but then I just barely play it now. You know, but there's a chance a game if it gets its hooks into me like a competitive multiplayer game, sometimes it happens. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Fall Guys didn't do it yet, but maybe Hyenas will.
Very similar games.
Yeah,
very similar.
Real quick before we head out to can we touch on Embracer's comments and them taking shots at Square Enix?
Sure, absolutely we can. You want to dive into that? We can absolutely do that. Let me bring up that article real quick.
Because
we don't have to read the whole article.
I just love the quote. You know, with reasonable expectations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Steel and I will be talking about this on Saturday.
We'll only touch on it a little bit.
No. We touch on it as much as you want to. I brought it up in our DMs because I thought it was a great, again, people, this is the stuff that you and I find that Steele and I cover on Saturdays as well is the stuff that kind of people pass over. This was a fantastic interview. I don't know if you had a chance to read the whole interview yet, Matt.
No,
but these are the stuff that doesn't hit the mainstream all the time, that people don't pick up on. But gamesindustry.biz, which is a great source of information if you want the nuts and bolts of the industry. If you like that Forbes style, but for only the games industry, again, Paul Tassi over at Forbes does a great job too. But again, the gamesindustry.biz is that type of business kind of format. And they have great interviews with people. They have connections within the industry that you just don't get elsewhere. And so I love this. They actually went and talked to the CEO of Embracer Group, Lars Wingfors. And this is written by James Batchelor, who is editor-in-chief over there at gamesindustry.biz. Fascinating article. I suggest anybody who wants to hear about Embracer Group and what they got going on. This dude's open. This dude is very transparent. Like, they asked him the strategy going forward, what they're looking to do, and he was open about all of it. But let's see here, man. Let's see if I can pull out. If you got the quotes right there, go ahead. If you want to dive into
the article.
Yeah, I got the article too. It's a long article. I don't think we need to read it all.
Sure. I'm trying to find the well, you got it on the DMs. I'm gonna bring it up on the DMs here.
Yeah, I've got it up already. I'm just trying to find the exact quotes about what you were specifically talking about.
Yeah, I got it here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Shit.
Oh, here we go. I got the main quote. Okay, I've got the main quote that I think you're talking about here. So they dived into their acquisitions and everything that's going on, and obviously they talked about acquiring Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, and about the IPs Tomb Raider and of course Deus Ex as well. And his quote that I think Mav is getting to here, his one quote, he's got lots of quotes in here, but his one quote is, "We will take good care of the people, the IPs, and if we set reasonable expectations, I think we will also be happy with the financial performance on this."
Yes.
Yes.
That sounds like a direct quote, directly targeted at Square Enix to me. I mean, it just like with everything that all of us have been saying, for years about Square, for a CEO to kind of mirror that in the way that they're phrasing how they're going to treat those developers and those IP it's like a left hook right in Square's face. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, here, I'll read a little bit more of his quote about this when they're asking about specifically this stuff here as well, to kind of give people a background. So, with that said, when we have a more diversified business, we are able to make more. We are to be able to take on more sizable business risk, including AAA games development. He adds, "We reckon that we don't have anything that will represent more than 5% of our revenue for the coming year, including AAA release such as Saints Row. And that's why we feel more confident about making this transaction," speaking on the Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal transaction, because we believe we can make a reasonable business out of it. On Tomb Raider, which is the only thing that we have announced, that they have announced, they have some amazing plans that I am confident in. Wingfors also observes that these are very traditional IPs. After all, Tomb Raider, Thief, and Legacy of Kain all debuted in 1990s, with Deus Ex following in 2000. As such, the CEO says expectations of any financial return needs to be reasonable. He sees strong potential in the series' back catalogs, opening up the possibility of ports, remakes, and remasters, and there are even opportunities for collaborations across the group. But what happens next inevitably comes down to the question of cost. Quote, "Should we make something new? Should we do some licensing or work for hire? If you have really strong AAA IPs in this group," and I'm not necessarily talking about Tomb Raider in this case, "that makes the work even easier," he says. "I've been growing up with these IPs. I remember shipping the first Tomb Raider when running my mail order business back in Sweden in 1996. I guess on a Sega Saturn and importing it from the UK. It was fantastic. And the same goes with other IPs. And so for me, it's just bringing something to people that love it. We will take good care of the people, the IPs, and if we set reasonable expectations, I think we will be happy with the financial performance on this. Could you do things that are more lucrative in the industry? For sure. But that doesn't mean to me that you need to always maximize and only do things that have the highest potential for the highest margins. If you do that, your business will become quite boring after some time. Shots not only at Square Enix, their map, shots at Ubisoft, shots at EA's, right? Dude, I love this guy. I've already said I've been on record for what? Over a year now. Embracer Group becoming one of my favorite publishers. This interview, again, I suggest anybody listening to this or listening to this in the future, if you have any want to know what Embracer's like, this guy is the guy that's running it. He gets it, folks. He gets it 100%. All the stuff we talked about. This is why Embracer Group, I absolutely love what they're doing out there. But go ahead, Matt. You want to jump in on this? His comments obviously were shots across a lot of different bows in the industry.
Yeah, it's crazy because it seems like, you know, they're going to be comfortable with the growth that they're going to have and like with staying true to what the franchises are. And that how they make their money, you know, you're going to see lots of different things, right? Is what it seems like. You're going to see new things. You're going to see remakes. You're going to see remasters. You're going to see collaborations. You're going to see lending studios to other developers and other publishers as well. You're going to see stuff across the gamut, right? But it seems like the main core focus is respect to the teams and the IPs, which, again, if you want to say shots at Ubisoft, that's one of the biggest shots at Ubisoft right there because they have lost that plot. Maybe they're going to get some back with Splinter Cell, right? A reboot, remake. They're saying all the right things right now, but we've seen what they've done to their own franchises and brands, and we've seen them chasing the golden trends and chase
the gold pot,
fit trying to take all of your existing things and try and fit them all in the same square peg, right? Like it doesn't necessarily, not everything has to fit. It's okay to accept and celebrate the differences in franchises and games and have more variety. Like, and I think that maybe Ubisoft will get this at some point as well. When they see success from different things, but they have a long history of doing that. Like, you know, oh, this worked, let's make all of our games like that, right? It doesn't matter what this franchise was like before. We'll make our version's franchise spin on that genre now because that genre is what's successful. People only play this kind of game now, so we're gonna make all of our games into that kind of game, right? And that's kind of what Ubisoft has kind of been known to do. Even Yves Guillermo said it himself in several interviews about, hey, the devs don't want to make a Splinter Cell anymore. He said that a long time ago. They want to only make open world games, right? And it's like, really? Because the devs themselves in interviews and stuff like that, and like on social media and stuff like that, are all saying different. You know, it comes down to business, and Ubisoft always trying to chase that popularity trend of like what's successful right now. It would regardless be damned of what you already have and what you've already created and the fans that are already there looking forward to the next thing, right? Square, again, man, like we've talked about the issues and everything that they've had and mismanaging of their IP with their expectations of the devs and the comments they make about the devs and the sales and lack of success and stuff like immediately after a release, and it's like shots fired and your own teams and stuff like this. And we all saw it coming, you know, they're not interested in them anymore, and we see them let go finally. We see them let go, and we all expected somewhere else. We did not expect Embracer Group to jump in there and grab these developers, but maybe this was the best possible outcome, right?
Yeah.
From everything that this guy's saying, it sounds really promising. Tomb Raider has a chance to be the Tomb Raider that we know and love, right? Remember we saw at the Unreal event, the first glimpse at like the shot. It's just like iconic right there. You know what I mean? And if that's a kind of focus that we can have and like the kind of things we can expect from their AAA side, I'm excited because that's going to be new territory for them. They're going to have a lot to prove with Embracer Group, right? They got a lot of AA stuff, the indie stuff and smaller things, but this is breaking new ground for them. they have massive IPs now, and they're gonna have a chance to make some of these IPs more popular than they've ever been before.
Yep.
And we'll see if they can do that. And I think they can with the resources that they're gonna have at their disposal to make it work. So great comments. I love taking the shots at the other publishers because it tells me that you're setting yourself up. You're not going to allow yourself to fall into those same traps if you're taking shots and making comments about how others run their businesses. And I hope that they don't do that as well. So
this guy gets it, Mav. Again, anybody go read this entire interview. This guy gets it. He established what they're doing there is to allow these groups to run autonomously, not unlike what Xbox has said, right? All the groups underneath their umbrella get to do what they want to do. And that's what he's saying here. They have zero plans to fold them all underneath a single publisher. They want to keep them all running. He even in the article, it goes on to say the role of Embracer, he tells us, is to enable those businesses to focus on their own ambitions and support those where possible. That's what he does. That's what his overarching goal is with Embracer Group. Dude, this guy understands and respects the IPs, the history. They don't have ridiculous type expectations from every IP. That's not what they're doing here. They're simply trying to gather as much talent underneath one umbrella. I mean, all this interview confirmed all of exactly what I had thought that Embracer Group was about. And again, he is wide open book, man. This guy started his own first business back when he was like 13 years old, right? Yeah. This is like a total entrepreneurial type guy, but he has massive respect for the gaming industry. He has massive respect for comics. He has massive respect for the entertainment industry as a whole. And that was the other interesting part about this article, is that he goes on to talk about how they see the future of entertainment and having IPs that can go across all different forms of entertainment, as we've talked about here, Mav, and on all our shows, the future, why we said that we were all on board for Xbox to go buy all of WB Discovery, to get on that train, because that is the future of entertainment. This guy gets it 100%, but to hear that he says that they're going to allow these teams to do what they want to do, that they're not going to set some ridiculous expectations for them. They're going to have normal expectations, unlike Square Enix, that he's going to allow them to go make these IPs as the visions that they have for these IPs. He's going to allow them to do that, including the older IPs, including Deus Ex maybe coming back again, and not having some over the top expectation of sales wise on that IP, knowing that it is a historical IP. But if the team wants to go do it, they're going to support that team in doing that and making it the best possible. That is what I love to hear. These are the same types of comments from Phil that Phil's had about his teams, right? And about what they expect out of their teams. That's why a Josh Sawyer can go make a Pentiment, right? He can take a small group of people and go make a dream game, a passion project, whatever you want to call it, or a Grounded that came out of Obsidian. And if it turns into something big, great.
Which it has.
But it was never
crazy.
It has, right? Grounded has turned into something fantastic. That's what Phil allows for, and Microsoft allows for, is just the creative minds to go do what they do best. And that's what this guy is saying. They're not out here to turn into another Ubisoft or EA where they're just going to, or a Take-Two even, where they're just going to pump out one type of game, or they're going to chase that pot of gold after every single rainbow. No. They have much different goals and minds. They want to, and he's even talked about doing deals. He kind of mentioned it in that one quote about the deal that they have currently with Crystal Dynamics, that they took over from Square Enix, where Crystal Dynamics is working with Microsoft, obviously on Perfect Dark, right? So he's cool with that. He's cool with all types of different business models. Again, this interview is fantastic. He talks a little bit about Dark Horse comics to purchase and how much he loved Dark Horse. I think that was his first business, was buying and selling comic books back in the day. I think importing comic books and selling them. I think that's where he started. And so he has this great love of comic books and the history of Dark Horse and all that kind of stuff. Dude gets it. Respect to Lars. For this interview, man. Again, Embracer is right up there with my top favorite publishers right now, man, and top favorite companies in this industry. Absolutely love this interview, Mav. And the shots, they were heard, man. They were definitely heard here. Good to hear it come out like that. And happy for Crystal Dynamics and Ideos Montreal to get from underneath that ridiculous pressure that Square obviously had on them at all times. So hope for Tomb Raider, hope for Deus Ex, hope for Legacy of Kain even coming back at some point. My God, wouldn't that be beautiful? Even if it is just a remake or a remaster. My God, Matt, Golden Age of Gaming is here. And we got good people in this industry like Lars, like Phil, who respects the history and wants to see these companies, just these creative people, this talent, just do whatever they want to do and make stuff that we can go ahead and love and bring back old IP. Yeah. So I'm happy about it, man. Awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of that, they also have Dark Horse Comics, right? So it's like,
that's what I just said, that he talks about that in an interview. That was one of his first, like I said, I think that was his first gig as a 13-year-old. He was importing comics,
selling comics. Yeah.
Selling comics.
It's like if a geek got to live out their dream and running a company, you
like
know
Phil.
What I mean? You know,
Phil,
like,
gamer running a game company, right?
What would you do? Buy everything you can and try and like hoard it to protect it and also be able to do what you want with it, as opposed to like letting it be sabotaged and destroyed by other companies. It's almost like it seems like what's going on there, and he's getting like bigger and bigger as the company goes along, because as the company has acquired more assets and value, that allows them to acquire bigger things. And the other key thing was that they said before, when they had made this acquisition, was that they also have other things planned that they already have money allocated for, right?
Yes.
So they're not done, guys. Like, this is going to continue, and I'm really interested how this company is going to continue to take shape. Because guess what? 2-3 years ago, you never heard of Embracer Group.
Nope.
And now it's the biggest gaming publisher in Europe.
Right.
What a freaking growth spurt in a short amount of time. Imagine another few years from now, another 5 years from now, potentially what this company could be. This guy's doing insane stuff, right? This company is so interesting to see what's going to become of Embracer Group and the IPs and everything that they acquire. I can't wait to start to see some of those AAA releases. It's going to be a little while, probably.
Yep.
But
I can't wait for the double A's, man. Yeah. I can't wait for Time Splitters coming back, man. I can't wait to see our first look at a brand new Time Splitter.
We were talking about Arc Raiders, right? That's them as well. They're funding that as well, right? So
they're funding that as well. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man.
It's gonna be amazing, man. Golden Age Gaming. Shout out to PTK Blam. Shout out to PTK Blam showing up here in the chat, brother. Great to see you, man. Thank you. On your way home from work, man. I appreciate you dropping in, showing love. As always, sir. Saturday is right around the corner, sir. We're gonna have a good time. Because Steele's gonna be on the Shop podcast as well. We're gonna get a double dose of living split screen on Saturday.
Nasty on Shop.
Live, raw, and uncut twice. That's right, with a little bit of nastiness. So, man, brother, we didn't know how we were gonna do the show. We didn't know. We said this is a slow news week, and here we are 3 hours later, man.
Yeah, lots of little topics today, right?
Lots of fun little topics, man.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Oh, dig it, man. This is freaking fantastic. This is what we do. So, great show. Hey, chat, you guys were all amazing as well. Thank you all for being here again. Hope you enjoyed our show. Again, Mav and I love this PM in the PM on Thursday nights, man. This is something we look forward to each and every week, even when he and I don't get to talk, much like how Steele and I don't get to talk during the week. Like, this is us sitting down and catching up. Like, this is us just BS. And that's why the little topics sometimes turn into bigger topics and we go off on side tangents, because this is Mav and I freewheeling it, having a good time, just sitting back talking. But we have an audience and we have people that we enjoy who obviously are contributing to the show as well. So thank you all. Much appreciated. Nothing but love and respect out there for all of you. Mav, let's get everybody out of here. So tell everybody what the Kingdom of Fun Speculation has in the works for the rest of the weekend here and coming up.
Well, tomorrow is Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern, everybody, right here on Fun Speculation. We're going to have a lot of fun again, as always. This, again, is a slow news week, and things tend to go left more when there's slow news, because we just kind of go random. So if you want to have a lot of fun, late night on a Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, come hang out tomorrow on Xbox Ultimate. Follow that up with Monday, Fun Speculation Podcast. FSP will be back. Looks like hopefully my internet issues have been resolved. turns out my PS5 has a gremlin in it or something, and it's killing my network switch even in standby mode. I don't understand how this is possible, but that's what's going on. I unhooked it from my Switch, and now all of a sudden everything's all gravy again. Weird.
Sony innovation, Mav. It wants you to play it all the time, so it's going to take all your internet.
I guess it's strange, man. It's weird. I got PS5 ever since then. I've been having that off and on issues, right? So, but I also have a little bit of sad news to share regarding one of our shows, Pong.
Oh, I saw this in the DM.
Yeah. So
yeah.
We've had a really good run, but the time has come. This next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time will be the finale of Fun Pop. It will be the very last episode of Fun Pop. For those that enjoy Fun Pop, that like our Marvel, DC, Star Wars TV shows and more discussions, that'll be the last episode on Wednesday. So I hope we can have a decent turnout for that and kind of send that show off with some good vibes. We had a lot of fun. It came down to like a lot of the things that I want to do with the channel, and I need more time and stuff to be able to do the other things that I want to do, and learning a lot about YouTube and how these things work and stuff. Like this is a gaming channel, you know, and you may see Fun Pop return in another channel at some point in the future, if we do that. But there's other things I want to do that I want to work on, and with having 4 shows a week right now, like live shows, it is taking the ability for me to do some other things that I want to do for the channel and I have some ideas, and I'll make some announcements on what's coming pretty soon. But it's definitely sad. Psycho and 3-Bit started that podcast with me. This will be the 55th episode that we have, right? That's over a year's worth of shows for that. And I hate I won't say it's going to be gone forever, right? You may see Fun Pop, like I said, return, but it's definitely a sad moment for me because I do love that show. I love doing that show, just like I love doing all of our shows. But it's just, I just had to make the decision, man. It's a tough one, but shout out to everybody and appreciate everybody who has watched Fun Pop, and those episodes will always be there for you to go. And Pong won't be able to watch and rant about our Star Wars conversations anymore. I'll
continue to do so in the DM story.
Yeah, but Thursdays it's still, you know, everything else is still on track. Thursdays we got PM of the PM, Fridays Xbox Ultimate, Mondays FSP. And then I'll make an announcement when the time is right. I got a couple weeks of work to do on some stuff, and there will be something that's going to be happening on Wednesdays. It won't be a podcast though. I'll tell you that. So, all right, Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
What else you got? What do you got going on? And like, where can everybody find you, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mav. And I'm sorry to hear about Fun Pop, man, but sometimes you got to make those decisions, and you know, the channel will definitely, you know, move forward, and I'm sure you got something really cool coming for Wednesday, so I can't wait to hear what that is, because I don't know. You haven't told me, so yeah. I can't wait to see. But those hard decisions sometimes got to be made by the king. That's why you are the king of this kingdom, sir. Fun Speculation is the place to be. Listen, everybody, hey, real quick, please continue. Anybody here or listening in the future, please continue your thoughts, prayers, sending healing energy Lupa's way. AssassinLupa, we have not had an update. Is that correct, Mav?
I've not heard anything. Okay. Yesterday was, as we know, have last heard was supposed to be the day that she went for her procedure.
Yeah.
But we don't have an update as of how that went or if it took place yet or anything. Okay. So I will share information when it's available to me. But as of right now, I don't have an update.
Okay. So just please continue. Obviously, again, whether you believe it or not, it does help. And we want Lupa back. You know, not just for, you know, podcasting or chat or whatever the case may be. She's just a bright light. She's a wonderful human being as a whole, not just a part of this gaming community or as She's just a bright light in this world,
Yeah.
and we need all of them at this moment in time. Obviously, with everything that's been going on over the past years, we need more Lupas. So we need her here with us and whatever that may be. So please continue to do that. She's a friend. She's an extended family member of ours. And anybody who's had the pleasure of meeting her in a chat or watching her on a podcast or gaming with her, whatever the case may be, you know what we're talking about. She is just a special person. So please continue to do that for her. It's vital. We did it for Spooky and it worked out fantastic. Spooky is back. He's actually starting his own podcast now on Saturdays. And so we need Lupa. So please continue to keep her in your thoughts going forward, and we will update you. Mav, I'm sure we'll update everybody as soon as possible. There's a lot of people in this community who will be getting updates, so keep your eyes out for that as well. Otherwise, fantastic show again. Love being here on Thursday nights. Next Thursday, I didn't talk to Mav about this in the background. Next Thursday might be a late start due to work. So just keep your eyes open for that. We'll obviously update everybody on the start time next week. But I'm definitely going to be here for the show, but it might be late start next week. So otherwise, you know where to find me. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. Follow me. I'll follow you back. Getting closer to 3,000 on Twitter, which is absolutely nuts. Love you all. Thank you all for that. Otherwise, tomorrow, Xbox Ultimate, I'll be there. Don't know what time yet, but I will be there for sure. Maybe I'll make another start of the show. I've been trying to make that a trend, so we'll see if that continues. But Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night, right back here on Fun Speculations channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday morning, set those alarms. I'll get a video out tomorrow. I've been terrible with doing videos. I've been so freaking busy lately. It's been crazy, but I got to get better at that because people do seem to like them and they do help. So, but set those alarms tonight. Reminders on living split screen Saturday morning. My brother from another Steel Rain and I, you guys know the drill. 3+ hours. Tell a friend, bring a friend. Listen, just tell them to listen to us. They don't have to stay for the entire show, but if they like what they hear, please have them join the crew over there. Look, we're on mission 1K, so we need the help all the help we can get, because if we do hit 1K this year, Steel is going to live stream Callisto Protocol. And it's going to be hilarious because he's almost as bad with horror games as I am. So that man, I can't wait to see him scream like a little girl sometime. Okay. So please try to get us to mission 1K, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time, living split screen Saturday morning. And then Saturday night, the Shop podcast, of course, with the host, with the most, PTK Blam, who jumped in here. Be there Saturday night. It is going to be PTK, Fuzzy Belvedere, myself, and you get the double dose of living split screen because Steel is going to join us. So you know your Saturday night's going to be fun. It's going to end right. Plus, we open up the last part of the show to questions. PTK started that a couple months ago now. It's been fantastic. So bring your questions, but jump in there. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, PTK Blam's channel, the Shop podcast. Please be there. Xbox Factor podcast on Tuesdays. I will not be there again next week, but you know the drill. Mr. Boomstick, one of the best in the community. Look, gotta get there. It's all good things green, no matter who's there. Mav, Archimedes, Boxenberger, as everybody knows him, VJ, N64 Josh, myself, or a plethora of people that Boom has come in and join if he needs to fill chairs. Listen, it's a good time on Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, Xbox Factor podcast. Otherwise, right back here again next Thursday for PM in the PM. Like I said, keep your eyes and ears open. We will announce the time as soon as I can figure out how late I'm going to be on Thursday night from work. But otherwise, listen, folks, it's the golden age of gaming. We had a lot of fun tonight, even with small topics. If you can't tell, it's the best time ever to be a gamer. So get out there and play some dang games. Man, it's full right now, and it's only going to get more full. So just take the time and do it. Enjoy it. Have fun. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, please, sir.
Before we say goodbye, shout out to Vic the Click with a $5 super chat. He said, amazing episode, guys, and positive energy to Lupa. And thanks, guys, for taking your time to entertain us gamers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother.
Always for hanging out. And I got to say, also, he hit us with a membership free little message here. And he said, oh, yeah, Starbucks suck. LOL, not sorry. Now, he's razzing me for Twitter earlier. Hey, Vic, you know what? Sometimes I don't feel like going the extra distance to go to Dunkin' as well, and I'm already stopping at Starbucks for my wife. I'll admit I enjoy a grande iced caramel macchiato as much as anybody. I do prefer Dunkin'. I think the medium iced caramel macchiato is better there, and I also now like Dutch Bros, which has their version is a ice golden eagle, but I get it layered so it looks like a macchiato or a a Dunkin' one as well. But anyway, guys, thanks again. Have a good one. Take it easy, and we'll see you real soon.